I got no sound, Josh.
That's weird. I'm showing sound going out.
No idea going out.
I got no sound, Josh.
Nope, none here either.
You can hear me though.
That's weird. I'm showing sound going out.
Oh, that is weird.
Oh, they can hear us talking.
All right. Well, I guess there's still a few bugs to iron out using the live studio here on Restream.
Can we get Walt to sing for us?
I would really be shocked if you could. Well, that's really going to throw me off if they're hearing our audio right now.
There, and they hear with an echo.
With an echo?
They're telling us out in the chat. Oh, Liz. We may have to start over.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the hell that was all about. I'm not even sure how in the hell you people are still hearing me, because I thought I was completely muted up. No, so really today what I'm using is Restream Live Studio, which is something completely new to me. I've been seeing it. I've been curious. So I thought, what the hell? We'll give it a shot. So I don't know what the hell's going on, really. But TGIF, welcome to Have No Sphere right here in the Iron Will Media YouTube channel. Hopefully I'm not echoey. Jesus, I don't know. My name's Josh Corey. Happy Friday, everybody. We've got a pretty exciting show for you, believe it or not, if we can get everything worked out. So, I don't know. Let's just say hello to everybody else, and hopefully people can let us know what the hell's going on. I'm checking on my phone. Let's say hello to... How about Mr. Walter Johnson? Looks like he's busy. Walter, how the hell you doing, sir?
I'm apparently better than you, sir. Sorry, the new software is being freaky. So, what? Being influenced by the chat. Thanks, Karen B, for subliminally making me say freaky. Anyway, welcome to our show. We're getting off to a limping start. We had a great show this morning. If you were hanging out at Ironworks, which, you know, that's where you should be. I have people stomping around the house with me, so it may be a noisy show. So we'll see what happens with the trucks. Anyway, it was a good Friday. Hopefully yours is good and we'll get better. That's enough for me. Say hey to somebody else.
Oh,
Hey,
crap.
somebody else.
All right, well, let's go ahead and say hello to Mr. Zachary Zabala, our partner in crime over there on the Ironworks. Zachary, how's your day been? I know you've got a nap in, a couple naps even, maybe even a little power nap recently. Hell, you may be taking a power nap right now.
I was talking. I was just muted. Imagine that. We had that problem earlier, I think, when I jumped in Skype the first time. No, but yeah, I got a nap and it felt good just now. I broke ground in the backyard. This, you can plan and plan and plan until you get out there and actually are, on site. You really have to learn to work with what you have. When you're trying to build a garden on a hill, you kind of got to find the flattest part you can for your walkways and paths and stuff like that. So it was a neat day. I spent a lot of time outside just looking at the ground and, thinking about where the rain's going to go and this and that and yada, yada, yada. And got it started, got it all plotted out where we're going to put it. 2 nice sized little garden beds. Then we're going to run up and down the fence as well. So yeah, it was a good day. I can't wait to get up tomorrow nice and early. Because I don't know what it is. I work best early in the AM. That's when I get everything done. And when I start things in the afternoon, they kind of just fizzle away. But yeah, I can't wait to get up bright and early and just start hitting it again. Get at it. Get it all done.
It's a good feeling getting it knocked out and finished up. Why put off till tomorrow that what you can do today?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't live by that. I'm a procrastinator. Anybody's business,
Yeah,
but I can
me
appreciate it. Let's say hello to the Adam Beacon, who actually was able to pop in chat a little bit this morning over there on the Ironworks on TFR. Adam, how's your week been, sir? How are things going over there in the lockdown?
A bit like me popping in TFR this morning. It's all going mental, isn't it? So I'm very distracted with the bullshit world that we're all getting bombarded with. But as much as I can, I keep trying to come back to that flat realm. So, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, there's no point trying to explain the chaos. We all know it. But, yeah, it's nice, mate. It's nice even when you're working in that just to have a little bit of sanity in the background. But, yeah, evening, everyone. And, yeah, I hope you're having a good evening. Yeah, I've had a good week, though, mate. Other than that. Chatting a lot with tonight's guest. I know he's been pestering a few of us this week. Dr. John, picking brains. He's constantly on one now, I think. It's because it's half term, I reckon. And these teachers don't have sod all to do they? Part-time job and all that, unlike the rest of us. But, yeah, I've been having fun, mate, chatting, exploring new ideas. And I think that's what's been floating Cammy's boat a little bit with it, just challenging your conventions and looking at stuff and going, oh, okay, maybe not then. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, an enjoyable week, and maybe we'll cover some of it after. I think John's got a presentation for us, hasn't he? But we're waiting for him to arrive. He's still not responded. He's disappeared since earlier on, but we'll see. But yeah.
Well,
before we move on, because you always get forgot, I may as well do you. How's your week been, pal? I know it's been a bit funky.
Well, it's just like the rest of my life. It's a roller coaster. It's full of ups and downs. Let's see. I'm still waiting on one of my W-2s to send off to the underwriter. Apparently, the lady just doesn't seem to get her stuff together. Working from home just makes her completely incapable of doing her job. But we got a message back this afternoon from the loan officer saying they've got all the paperwork that they need. So I guess I don't need the W-2, but I'm still going to have to wait for it because fuck it, I've already invested this much energy. I'll be damned if I'm not going to walk away without it. So now just have to wait on the U.S. government, yay, to approve our USDA loan. Let's see. Then once that happens, we'll be good. Just got to finish a few more things to pack up, and we should be able to get the hell out of here. Then yesterday morning, I get to work and I clock in and I walk up to my desk and my boss walks over to me. Says, you may want to put your mask on. Says, I'm not feeling so hot. I'm going to go ahead and take off because I'm scaring a few of the other employees. So I just wanted to give you a heads up, make sure you had enough to keep you busy, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I said, okay, sounds good. I'm good. Feel better. Then just before lunchtime hits today, one of the HR guys from my work walks up to me and says, so turns out your boss may have actually tested positive for COVID. So we are going to send you home just in case, because, you know, he did come up and talk to you yesterday morning before he left. So you may have to self-quarantine. So we will see you back here, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that, or next Thursday, but the Thursday after. So enjoy 2 weeks paid vacation.
That's a good boss in my book. That is a good
Right?
boss.
Yeah, what do you just go around, talk to the few people you like, and leave work sick? Let them get a couple weeks paid vacation. Now the bitch is, God forbid I do get sick and have to call out. I don't think that one's going to get paid for under our COVID relief bullshit. I think I'll just have to eat all those hours, but I'm feeling good. I'm not worried about catching no COVIDs. I mean, I might catch a cold. It is flu season, but I'm not worried about catching no COVIDs. I got stuff to pack. I got videos to edit. I got a video for the Iron Scouts and for our patrons over there on Patreon. I'm editing together some of our Wednesday pre-show stuff. This is an older one with Chris Van Matry and Crow 777 and Jason popping on. So I've got some good stuff I'm going to be able to get edited up. Hopefully a few more of those edited and in the can, ready to release now that I've got 2 weeks of extra time on my hands. So that's been my week. Yeah, pretty nutty. So hopefully,
How long is that pre-show? That had to be a long one, if I'm remembering
it
right.
wasn't really too bad. Not as long as I would have thought. I think it was just shy of 3 hours. I think.
Yeah, that's kind of a normal one then.
And I split it up. There's a couple solid transition points. So the first video is only going to be an hour and 10 minutes, hour 9:37 maybe. And I may even try to trim that down to just a cool 60 minutes and see if I can't get that out there sometime next week. Maybe even by the weekend. Who knows? It's all rough cut. I've got it roughed out, making sure that everybody's happy with what is there. Once I polish it up a little bit, we'll send it on to Chris and make sure he's cool with us releasing it to the Iron Scouts and to our patrons, and then eventually probably to everybody else. But I wanted to get his okay on it with anything that I put out. But there's nothing questionable even on there. It's really good. I think people are really going to enjoy it. Just a impromptu conversation on a Wednesday for pre-show. It's pretty good. And then I end it right when Crow and Jason come in. So I'll leave you on a cliffhanger and wait for the next one. But I think people are really going to enjoy them. And I'm looking forward to finally getting some stuff out for our patrons over on Patreon, because I know they've been anxiously awaiting some sort of return on their investment. So yeah, thanks for asking, Adam. It's been a nutty week. And I think I may have audio systems sorted out because, Adam, you are the one that created that intro. I want to give this another shot just to see if we can't make it happen. I don't know if it'll work or not. I might just put it out there.
Are we missing? Did we miss somebody?
No, we haven't missed anybody yet. Because we were talking about Adam, I wanted to try to get it here.
No.
Let me mute.
So I don't know why we're not hearing it. We should be hearing it, but we're not. So I get, if we're not hearing it, I bet anybody else is.
No, I just checked there. There's still no. Annoyingly, I put a long silent pause at the beginning of it, didn't I? So you have to wait. Anyway, right. But no, I'll have to wait till next week, Josh. That's it now. I might have another tweet with that, trying to make it look more VHS. Anyway, so.
All right, sounds good. And in the meantime, I got plenty of time to try to work out all these kinks and figure out how best to use this Restream live studio, because I do like it. I like the idea of doing it this way, because there's a few little bells and whistles that we'll be able to use on here. Shout out to Liz the Iron Maiden for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get this intro that doesn't play any sound off the screen.
Evening, Liz, by the way. Thanks for that super chat. That's nice. Isn't
that nice?
We back with super chats. It's like, oh, is that the first ever since?
No, we've had a few.
Before another rock legend dies and we get banned again.
Well, let's see. John Savage has not gotten out to the battle bus just yet. So let's say hello to Mrs. Cammie Nodell, the estrogen that balances out all this testosterone. Cammie, how has your week been, ma'am?
Hi, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. It's been a great week. It's been really, really fun. We're coming down from Flattoberfest, and for those in the chat that want to know how we avoided all of the streams and everything, Zach and I were busy with our hands every second of every minute of this. For everybody that brought children, teenagers, little kids, big kids, the kids themselves, and dropped them over at our booth, thank you. We had a blast. We were so hands-on. The kids were the most curious, the brightest, the older kids, the younger kids, all of the kids and the adults. We didn't make it out into the party. We had like off to the side with a few long tables, but we had like an amazing time, and we did hands-on everything. We were just, instead of talking about things, Zach had the Tesla coil out. We had a CRT monitor and magnets, so we're showing different patterns. We had mirror scopes. We were showing optical jumps, or what I think the lunar wave is. Things that would be impossible to me to happen, which I was talking about with Dr. John D in particle physics, that little 3 Polaroid filter trick that we were doing for you. And we replicated a couple hundred times over the course of an afternoon, but we had a fun time coming down from it. People still, trickling in and out of the house. We had several parties here through the impromptu parties, like, our doorbell would ring, people would start piling in, and Bob would be like, what's going on? And it's like, well, apparently we're having a party. Apparently, like, our house got called it, but no warning, and people would stream in and out. It was fabulous. It was so much fun, so much happy people, so much energy. It's hard for it to be over. It's this coming down feeling now, that 2 steps backwards, you take for a breathe, 3 steps forward, and Zach's doing good, making it real by digging in the ground. That feels good, watching him do it. It's been a good week.
Well, good.
It's been a really good week.
That's what I like to hear. I'm glad everything went so smoothly for Flattoberfest. Thank you so much, Karen B. It was an amazing event from what I've seen and heard and experienced here in Missouri. I really appreciate all that hard work that must have been. That's no joke. And I've heard lots of good things. People saying it's the best event they've been to. So there's a lot to be said there, because there's been some amazing events out there. So hold your head high. You did well, gal. That's awesome. So not to be undone, a man with as much patience as he has knowledge, Bob Nodell, who is just allowing these streams of people in and out of his house at ungodly hours without notice. Bob, welcome back to Have No Sphere. It's good to have you on. It's good to be able to hang out with you on a Friday night. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Josh. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, it was very cool. A lot of unannounced visitors, but we kind of knew that was going to happen on some level, and we were perfectly okay with it, because we wanted to see all these people, and it was just a lot of fun having the inflow of traffic and so many people, expressing their ideas, and it was just a blast from the get-go. And then of course the week following, it's a little bit of a come down because everybody's leaving, but some of the people kept it going by going off to the Georgia Guidestones, and a bunch of them went there and visited, and that was a lot of fun for them. And we kind of got our amusement from talking to Dr. John D this week. He started out by calling me, and he wanted to know, he had some questions, let's put it that way, and he wanted my particular take on it, as far as what we were dealing with, as far as light being an electromagnetic wave, how it propagates and manifests in the ether, all that stuff that I like to talk about, right? So he called up, and we wound up kind of transitioning over into some of Cammy's work, and it was so cool to, you know, we're sitting there explaining some of these optical phenomenon to him, which in and of itself is unbelievable considering he has a PhD in spectroscopy, right? And the thing that really blew his mind was the way that the holograms would actually fluoresce. And he's like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be physically possible. So to say that Cammy had his mind completely and utterly blown would be an understatement. And it was just very amusing to watch the whole thing, and it was great because he was like a kid, you know, in a candy store, and his eyes had just been opened for the first time, and it was really quite awesome. So I really like John D. He's an amazing guy, and I'm glad he's going to be on the show tonight.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, just for that reason. I mean, as excited as I was to see his presentation on his black swan observations and stuff like that. The fact that he'd been talking to you guys throughout this past week was just a great setup for tonight's show, because that will just have so much stuff to be able to talk about. I think there's just going to be lots of really good conversations come out of this. So I hope a lot of people are able to tune in. I think it's going to be a good show.
He says 2 minutes, so I'm just kicking the family out. So I don't think it'll be long.
He says, I've been talking to them. I'm running and hiding. These people are crazy. But no, we did. We had a great time. Dr. John D, again, his PhD, and this type of stuff. This is a fun meeting, because what you're having is you're having somebody with all of the book learning. And then I don't have the book learning. I just have the over 35 years of hands-on experience where he wrote his thesis on fluorescence. And fluorescence is something I tested for. I had a light box on my desk until I played with fluorescence every day as a property that I tested things for. So he has the intellectual, and then I can talk to him. He's just fun to talk to because I just have hands-on without the intellectual, just the practical knowledge of it. So it's fun coming together. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I love talking to different people and seeing how their mind works and filters through the information and looking at things. So he's a fun one. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be really good. So he's going to be able to just meander in here anytime.
If he wants to. Oh.
I expect John Savage is liable to just meander in here anytime as well. I know he was headed out to the battle bus at one point.
Savage!
I didn't think his garden was that big.
Maybe he got lost.
I think I hear him swearing right now.
Yeah. He's probably setting up all these little buckets and cups to catch the drips of water as they come through the ceiling.
So this may be a dumb question, but what is the battle bus?
It's John's real home. It's probably
Okay.
I'll let him describe it better, but it is an old bus that it's a bit like my shed, Bob. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
he turned it into a man cave.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so Adam, you've got a shed. He's got a battle bus, and then Dell in Scotland has got his shed, right? Which I don't know if he's still doing shows there or not, but wow, I'm going to have to get a man cave or something. Well, I kind of already have
honey,
one.
you kind of already have one. I don't know. People that came over got to see yours. I think you qualify. He's got the whole room underneath me. It's a walk out to the river and monitors everywhere. And I mean monitors everywhere.
It looks like NASA in there. It's pretty cool.
Doesn't matter, but the test of a man cave is if you put something down, is it there when you go back to it?
Yes.
Then that's all that matters. Then it is a proper man cave.
That's it.
Yep.
You're lucky to have that in your own home. we have to build outdoors.
Amen to that. That's awesome.
I stayed in my little world that happens to be right on top of his. So I'm top of the world. He's pretty much in hell, but he can have whatever he wants in his man cave. It's all his.
As it should be.
Damn straight.
You know, what's funny though is for as nice as my man cave is, I think I spend more time in Cammy's so-called office. I know I do. I spend a lot more time in Cammy's office than I do in my my man cave. It's just so nice. The screen room, and I'm sure you guys have seen the videos of it. You can see she's sitting out there now, and it's a screen room. It's got screen all the way around it, and totally open. And the weather is just so pleasant here in South Carolina. I'm just blown away. The fall has been absolutely beautiful. And yeah, it's just a nice place to be, especially now that the humidity is dying off. I got to say, the humidity in the summertime was brutal. But now that it's dying off, it's absolutely gorgeous outside. It's just a pleasure to be out in her office.
You guys definitely seem to be fitting in there and settling in well. I'm sure the energy that you all experienced and shared is part of it, but I know Liz commented in chat how relaxed and energetic Cammy looks. I saw some pictures and things over the weekend of you guys. Just like I said, the energy, the prana that was shared, it's definitely showing. I can see it in the pictures. I think it was Brian Stavely on my Facebook that I saw earlier today, had a lot of pictures of like in y'all's house with different people, and you could just see it in the pictures, almost like aura photographs. They were so energetic looking. So yeah, it's a beautiful place y'all have.
We had fun.
Hopefully we'll be out there soon.
We had the people over, and it was funny because we've now been here. We moved in September 1st or September 3rd, actually getting in. So we've been here a couple of months, and I should have more decorations and things there. So people coming through the house, we have empty cabinets, empty this and that, empty bookshelves. But it's like, but I'm always in my office. I'm always here. I'm looking at the river, and if I'm not in my office, I'm down in the river. So the knick-knack cabinets and the little tchotchkes and all of that are going to have to wait. But it's a good home. I feel very blessed. Hi, Martin.
That's what I love.
Martin.
This is like Flattoberfest at the Nodells, where you just have people wandering in at any given time. You never know how many's going to show up. I love it. I'm telling you, I love it when people show up, and I have no idea they're coming. But it's again, this is just our extended family. Just Martin Lee, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us tonight. I just love that you popped in.
Yeah, it's good.
What's going on, Martin? Love you, brother.
Hi, Zach. What's happening? Good to see you.
What's up, Martini and Rossi, my friends? How you doing, brother?
Voltage. Happy Friday.
I've been digging your son's videos a lot, man. Thank you for turning me on to that. He's a sharp young man.
I know. He's super smart, is my Lawrence. You want to see his collection of chemicals and things that could blow your mind.
Oh,
it's all really well kept, you know. But he's got like everything. Big tubs of magnesium and
oh man.
Yeah, we have such fun.
Evening, Martin. You all right, bro?
What's that, Adam? Sorry?
I said, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Megan. I'm good. I'm cool. Yeah, I'm buzzing.
Good. Been enjoying your shit this week, mate. Been good.
Definitely.
So, outside of you've done stuff.
That's about like lockdown, son. But it is really good for research. So yeah, like flattened jokes.
You're not like that now, are you? You're
rehashing for the Smoky God. Anyway, rehashing. Been reading it all day. It's fantastic, but fantastic.
So we actually have the man of the hour here, the man of the couple hours here. John Savage has not made it yet. And since I've botched it last week and double booked, and our guest was nice enough to give me that allowance and come back this week. Adam, would you do me a favor and introduce this week's guest? Because I think you'd be much better at it than I would.
Oh, yeah. I suppose it's my friend, first of all, foremost, and fellow ball buster. And as with a lot of folks I know, introduced via Roxanne. But I suppose the thing that people latch onto is that big old fat PhD that he's got. So yeah, there is Dr. John. No, it's John, one of the guys I love talking to him because he always messes with you, Melon. It makes me think. It's always a pleasure chatting with him. And like I said, I think he's been around the flat Earth this week, getting opinions. But, yeah, John. Good evening, mate.
Hi, Adam. Yeah, really good to be here. Yeah, you tricker.
I'm just a naughty boy. I can't.
Hey, John, you might want to turn your mic gain down a bit. It's getting into the clipping area. It's pretty distorted.
How's that?
Why, you're in a cave.
Yeah, a little bit more if possible.
Okay. How about that?
Oh no,
that's getting better. How's it sounding to you guys?
it's still as bad. You were being
Keep
kind.
talking, John.
Yeah, keep talking.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's definitely
better.
Okay. Yeah, it's the kitchen. So yeah.
That's what it
The
is.
sound's just bouncing around the walls.
Awesome. So I trust, John, you had opportunity to kind of look over some of that information that Cami was talking about. It's pretty crazy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I haven't had it too much time because well, I've been looking into light, or like just going around in circles about light, and I'm still going around in circles about light. I'm trying to track where like the history of light, where it first started, who said what, like what tests they did. And oh my word, the more you look into it, the more you just go around in circles and circles. It's just assumptions, and it's just assumptions, further built on further ones. So I've looked into lots of different people. I'm still looking into lots of, like different people downloading the versions of their papers. They're really, papers from like 1900s, the 1800s, trying to make sense of them. But yeah.
It's amazing stuff. Honestly, John, I have to wonder, how many sciences have literally been completely derailed by the dismissal of the luminiferous ether. I mean, you think about what you and I were talking about this week about, the propagation, the idea that light is some sort of a particle and, comes in packets and somehow can go through different mediums and then slow down and then speed back up. Like if it comes back out of if it goes into a fish tank and it slows down to 0.6 or whatever of light velocity of C, and then it goes back up to full C velocity, 186,282 miles per second. When it leaves, of course, that breaks a few laws of physics. And, and then of course it causes people like you, when you're looking into this, a whole lot of confusion, because the whole premise is wrong. What we're assuming about light is completely wrong in the way that it propagates. And the same thing goes with electronics, right? There's so many things that they cannot explain. And in fact, still to this day, a lot of the universities will say, we really don't know exactly what electricity is. And again, this, I think, is largely because of the dismissal of the very base fabric that creates all of this, and that would be the luminiferous ether. And I think that, if people really start reframing this into that paradigm, I think a lot of questions will be answered. I really do. That's just my opinion, but I think that we really took a severe left turn in science when Einstein came out and completely screwed it up. And also, I think that when Einstein did that, it also kind of made science believe that there was no way to develop any free energy devices. I mean, it really, really derailed us in so many ways. I think it's put us back over 100 years just by that simple dismissal. And I think the elites knew that would happen too. That's why they did it.
Yeah, I mean, the research I've done so far, I mean, dating back to this, 1600 and 50, through to like Newton, and like Christian, like Huygens, who was big on the wave theory of light. All of them mention it in their works, like quite frequently, which is really fascinating, like reading through their works, which are hard to read. It's really hard reading because it's not like, how we write scientific like papers these days where it's, third person, like non-personal. Kind of like reading their papers is really tough work. But yes, it is mentioned many times by lots of people, and it's only you know, like recently, where it's stopped being spoken about much, and it's stopped being like researched. So yeah, you know, perhaps it is an area for us to start, you know.
What was Einstein's
again?
Big gambit? That was the point of pumping in Einstein early, wasn't it? To disrupt that further research etherically.
Exactly.
Outside of that premise, I think what's more important was the other stuff we see with Tesla, well, removal of the introduction and removal of Tesla and the other systems to diminish the concept that energy can be transmitted through, I don't want to use the word ether, through the atmosphere, that actually atmospherically, I don't need to go there, but actually we had technology, and Martin's probably pleased to speak that there was an existence of, without needing to quantify it, that something we were getting, not necessarily free energy, but we were obtaining our energy needs from the environment, I think is probably the thing that was more hidden historically without being able to pin it somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Without being contentious. But Martin's work kind of shows that amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that, Adam. I mean, and you're right. You know, whether you want to call it the ether or whatever, and in fact, that's kind of the funny thing about it. Even though it is true that you know, as I've shown on Globebusters, there are Nobel laureates that are coming out and point blank saying, even to the huge dismay of Lawrence Krauss, that the ether does exist. What they've done in the meantime to kind of avoid using the terminology and, you know, keep Einstein propped up, because let's face it, and Einstein said this himself, if the luminiferous ether exists, then relativity is history. It's toast, right? It just doesn't fly anymore. So in order for people to kind of get around that and still make things actually work, they have come out searching for this, whatever it is that really is the ether, and they determine in different names, whether you want to call it the Higgs field or the quantum field.
Quantum foam.
Yeah, or quantum foam. I mean, yeah, so all they're doing is just renaming it and then acting like it's something different. So it's amazing, you know, the lengths people will go to try and, you know, not break the rules. You don't want to go against, you know, what mainstream science is saying, because mainstream science has said there's no damn ether, so you better not break that rule. And the reality is everything throughout history points to that being it. And they've known a lot about the characteristics of it, you know, throughout history as well. And even the stuff that we were starting to figure out in FE core, you know, about the nature of the way it seems to be propagating in a toroidal type of field at 15 degrees per hour. You know, that's what we're measuring. I am certain that's what we're measuring, and I don't know what else to call it. And even if you don't accept that premise, we were able to do, you know, some observations and then make some changes to those observations by changing the altitude along the same latitude line, which obviously produced. And of course, you can say, you can speculate on a lot of this stuff, but I think that logically it pans out. And it goes right back to what they were saying over 100 years ago about the ether, before Einstein had to dismiss it because of Michelson-Morley. So yeah, and I'm just glad to see it, honestly.
Indeed, indeed. I know one of the things I early on discovered, and I'm always trying to find again, which there's so many things in the early days of all this research that I let slip through my fingers, pictures, things that I can't find now. Zach's had a few things disappear that he went back to find. Don't I remember Max Planck or Planck himself setting it up or something with some probes he sent out that also had something to do with showing no movement to the Earth, and that also triggered Einstein on his big relativity push?
I don't know if it was Max Planck, but there were a few other experimenters.
Maybe I'm tying it up with the Planck constant. Maybe that's where I'm confusing that. Is his
that
stuff
could be. But you know who talked about that was Sungenis. There's an interview out there. Robert Sungenis was actually talking about.
See, maybe that's where I picked it up back when his movie came out, because it's been a while back. I know that's been a minute too when he was on with you guys. So I don't know. Like I said, it's one I can't find now, because when I try to find those probes, they're not there. You know.
Yeah. That's right.
Exactly. So he knew where they were. He knows where they hit them. He knows.
The
Thought you had a
he
toothache,
says it.
Adam.
Go on, Zach. Sorry, but I was just gonna.
I just said I thought you had a toothache there. I thought that was you for a sec.
No. That was
Last
Stephen
week.
saying that definitely Einstein was there to ensure that there was no further investigation into the effects that are attributed to ether, because there's a multitude of effects that we stick there. But I think if you look historically, we're at the peak, and there's a complete right turn, left turn, whatever you want to call it, a complete skewing of where investigation and inquiry goes scientifically, to the point that there's a complete abandonment of all of these effects, and that these effects are held within a metaphysical realm, a multi-dimensional realm, wherever it is, it sits outside of the 3 dimensions that Einstein only wants to give you 4, that doesn't really affect the physical other than outside. It sends you what it's sent off into that realm, and it's at that point, to me, when you look historically, that's what Einstein's there for. He sends you off into a land of bullshit.
He said all that in that little bit of time. Huh?
Wow.
Yep.
You know.
Good on him.
That was his purpose, I think. That's why you hire a dodgy patents clerk and attribute all of this stuff to somebody.
Agree. I agree totally, Adam. I mean, that's exactly why Einstein was put in the place he was.
Yeah.
And you know, like Tesla said, he was a fuzzy-haired crackpot, and his theories are ridiculous. I mean, the whole premise of relativity has always been suspect to me. And the thing that kills me is it's constantly being disproved, and yet the media, every 5 minutes, they're coming out with, oh, look, this happened, which further proves Einstein's relativity theory, right? And it's just the desperation in the way that the mainstream media pushes Einstein physics, which, you know, again, hopefully you would think that would set off a lot of red flags for a lot of people, because there is definitely an air of desperation behind it. Because Einstein, really, all of it was just such nonsense. You know, I really do think that he set science back a long ways, and it was quite intentional. You know,
It's not so much back, even, Bob. Back would be fine. It's off on complete tangent paths that lead you nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's pretty much it. You know, when you get set off on a path that ultimately goes nowhere, you know, and you waste all that production time that you could have been doing, you know, by forwarding, you know, some of the other physicists' work that were really onto something and were taking this energy research somewhere. You know, we could have been a lot further ahead than we are now. And of course, the elite are very much using all that technology. They know it exists. I believe that they have taken that technology and have integrated it into like 0G propulsion. I personally have seen these crazy craft, you know, that are completely silent and are unbelievably fast. I mean, they're out there. Yeah, totally. Well, a lot of people have. I mean, they're out there, and these are a government, you know, a very, well, I wouldn't say a well-kept government secret, but, you know, those who can think and understand what's really going on here know that the government has kept that information to themselves, you know, to use for their agendas. And I think one of their agendas that they're going to be using this silent propulsion and really fast propulsion technology, you know, from the spaceships, of course, is going to be in what Dr. Carol Rosin, by the way, you guys were talking about her the other night with Jonathan, but what she was talking about, what Werner von Braun was saying about the alien invasion card, right? And we're already seeing part of that energy or that technology in use, you know, with these lasers that are literally burning down houses and leaving the outside foliage completely intact. These are complete surgical strikes using a method, using a technology that, you know, they would say we're hundreds of years away from, right? So if you combine that with the zero gravity and extremely quick propulsion of these, you know, whatever they're called, I forgot what the name of the ship is, the Delta craft. But anyway, you combine that and bada bing, you've got your aliens, right? So they're going to come in and they're going to be super fast going around at warp drive, and they'll have their phasers and photon torpedoes, and yeah, I mean, to me, it's so clear that this is, you know, what they're going to be doing with this. And Von Braun was right. And did you guys ever hear back from Jonathan on that? Is she going to come on?
Not yet. He hasn't contacted me anyway. Have you heard from him, Josh?
I have not. I can reach out to him right after now, probably. He's probably not doing nothing.
I would love to interview Carol Rosin.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have so many questions for that woman, and you know, she's really at a point where she doesn't care and she's going to talk. Wow.
Right.
I mean, what a golden opportunity.
Right. Right. I'm texting him. Hang on.
So yeah, I mean, I think it would be absolutely amazing, and you know, we're in this age of disclosure. You know, they said that, you know, all of this is going to be revealed, and of course, to my way of thinking, it has to be revealed. You know, in order to keep up with the universal law, the law of free will, and they have to tell you what they're doing. They have to make these disclosures, whether or not they ridicule the sources that are disclosing them or not. Nevertheless, the information still has to be put out there, and I think this is one woman we definitely should be listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody ever hear from Savage?
I'm sorry, I'm literally texting.
He's lost his green dot as well, so God knows what's gone off. The bus could have exploded. Shall we crack on, John? We did ask you here for a reason, really, didn't we? Rather than this ramble. And I think we all know what the black swan is, and I don't want you here to overly reiterate that point, but I think for me, the stuff you've showed, and it was the wind turbines, and then the big present at the end, which you spotted. I remember you saying, "What do you reckon? What do you reckon?" And stare, and maybe if you start the presentation and just give us that, because I think if I look back, it's been a lot of shit this week, actually. On the, and you look at where we've come from and the crap we've had to put up with, and the assertions. And I saw, I was on the Nathan's chat this week, and the ballers were pulling in a 2-year-old thing about Morgold Lighthouse. And if I think back to those days at the Isle of Man days, and how we understood things and looked at things and viewed things, and I think even Nathan admitted how we reified this curve into what we were visualizing. How even then, as flat earthers, it was still there for us. It wasn't a flat plate when we were trying to calculate and deal with it, and we were still blinded by their bullshit. And it was a complete contrast to looking at your final stuff. And I said that final shot of France for me is the what's the word in French? The coup d'état, is it not? The thing. So, John, can I hand over to you, mate, and I'll let you go, if that's all right.
Yeah, it was it was at Worthing Beach, which is near me, you know, like where I live. So, you know, so I go down to Worthing Beach, you know, like most of the time, just to just to look down the coast. Got Beachy Head like to the left, and we got where else? To the right, we've got the Isle of Wight, so which you can see on like really, you know, on like really fine, fine days. It was during the summer break where it been really warm for about 2 weeks, really warm, fantastic, and we were my son and I were cycling along the prom, because we did this 5K cycle each day, and we were just cycling along, and I looked left and I looked right, I was like, oh my word, I've never seen things so clear. It was just so stunningly clear. It was amazing. So yes, so my son and I finished our cycle ride extremely quickly. The poor guy did 5K in just a few minutes. I tell you, his legs were sore the next day. So we did the 5K, ran home. Luckily, grabbed the P900, which was fortunate that the batteries were charged up. And I did the wind turbines just as a second thought, really, because I did Beachy Head on the left, the Isle of Wight on my right, and then I thought, I might as well do the wind, might as well just wade out a bit and do those wind turbines. And of course, my sight's not so good, so I have a bit of a problem. I've got to take my glasses off to look in, I've got to take my glasses off to actually look, to look at the wind turbines to see where to point it, where to point the P900, and I look at the small screen, the P900, I can hardly see a bloody thing. So, so I've got this long sight problem and plus this short sight problem. So when I'm looking at that screen on the P900, I'm not quite sure 100% what I'm seeing. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it's so it's screen, glasses on, glasses off, screen. So I took, these shots, did the videos, got home, left it a few days, and then I had a look, and then I was like, oh my word, this is really good. You can see all the turbines. You can see the turbines meet, you can see the bottom of them. And then gradually sent it to one of my friends, and he said, hold on, there's boats in the distance as well. And then, oh my goodness, yes, there's boats. Then I went on to the boating websites where you can track ships, and then we got the distances of the ships. And then someone said to me, hold on, is that land? Is that land in the distance? And well, it's brown. It looks like land. It could, it could be a giant lump of poo, but it looks like land. Yeah, to me, it looks like land, but I can't say, 100% that's land. So that's how it happened. It was just an amazing day. The sea was so still, and I think during that 2 weeks, the sea temperature had reached the same as the air temperature. So I think it was just nice and steady. The whole thing was beautiful, steady. The sea just wasn't moving, and you can see by watching, it's just just a perfect day basically. And we were just really fortunate just to be cycling out that day.
What, just that day, or
just that day? Because it wasn't the same. The next few days was not the same. The sea was rough, was slightly rough, because it's all down to the sea. It's all it's all down to rough. Those waves are. The higher the waves, you can't see down really low. So it's just a perfectly still day. You can just see, watching the video, the sea is so perfectly still. It's fantastic.
What was the humidity like that day?
I don't know, but it was, but it'd been a warm 12 days, a hot 12 days, the whole time. But the humidity, it was quite good. You could tell, just by watching, it was just good. It just seemed to be, that sweet spot. But it has always been that time. That time, that month here in Worthing seems to be this sweet spot. My best sightings have always been, for the past 3 years, that month here in Worthing. It just seems to work well.
Let me share screen, guys. And John, have you got any pictures, or got me to try and show this?
I've got, yeah, I've got the PowerPoint.
Yeah, would do, because I think to do it justice, like I say, it is a black swan. You're low down, and
can you see my screen?
No.
No, you can't see my screen.
No, sir.
Share screen.
We cannot see it yet. No.
Okay. Share. Now can you see my screen?
Now we're getting somewhere.
Now we see it.
Right. So which
this was the bit fundamentally, weren't it? You've gone out, and this was the bit you were chatting with folks about, these turbines. Because fundamentally, if you look at the turbine, that's a great picture. That says it all, doesn't it? If you look at the turbines, what we were chatting about first and foremost is the replication, but the, to quote Ken Dodd, the didification to go into the distance. But there's at no point is there an obstruction. There's just a reduction. And that was what was great about these shots, with the black, the yellow, and then, you know, also the bit of shine on the pylon above. I thought that was great, and that was an amazing set of shots. Yeah, so just do that first. That
look at the black bits. So yeah, so there's the black bits.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's the difference between low tide and high tide each day. Yeah, that causes that black scummy, you know, that build up.
Yeah.
So you know, we could clearly see that. So
first of all, these observations, they are a black swan, John, aren't they? They're taken from what height?
Yes, there were two heights. One was at 2 foot and one was 3.5 foot, and that put the geometric horizon at 1.73 miles and at 2.3 miles. So they're both, so they're all like black swans. There's the wind turbines, so about 8.5 miles to 10 miles, 11 miles. So they're all way past the geometric horizon.
Just go back to that slide there, because that, like, as a maths geek, now the one with the numbers, you know, I like numbers. See here, look, these are the ones that shatter a ball for a mathematician for me, because the way we're kind of programmed is to think, curvature is perspective. So look, they get smaller, we look at it, but it's actually the differentials that should occur between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that start to occur with the ball maths are the profound things for me. So even though we accept it's a black swan, the horizon should be, let's call it 3 miles. Where the first thing we're looking at is at 8 miles, and we can see the meeting of the pylon and the water. Now, those differentials should magnify significantly based on the rate of curve, which increases the further away. There shouldn't be a kind of linear reduction that you see here. It should be curved. So you should start to see the curve exemplified in terms of the rate of reduction. Now, these are things, I won't go too geeky, but do you get my point? What we're seeing here is we're just seeing a reduction in size. We're not seeing ball maths played out in terms of, well, not at all, because obviously you can see the bottoms of every single one of them. That's the beautiful thing. But hopefully you get the point there. That I love that one.
There, Adam.
Yes. So it's linear, isn't it? You can see that we're not getting curvature maths played out here at all. It's just straight lines. And the point being, from the observer's point of view, 1 to 2, even if there was a mile between each one, there shouldn't be an 8-inch drop between 1 and 2, and then an 8-inch drop between 2 and 3. You know, we should be seeing the differential between 8 miles and 9 miles, which multiply that by 8 inches per mile squared. Do you see the difference? So when you get to the third, you've got an even huger amount of drop that should be visible. That curve should be more visible. by the placement of these things. So by the time you get to the 5th, 6th one, you know, it's massively magnified. So there can be no linear relationship yet, as you showed, John. They're just straight lines, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's much they can say. And then plus we had the boats, you know, behind the actual wind turbines themselves. So we had that boat sneaking behind wind turbine number 6. So, and yeah, you can see that one clearly.
So how far away is that?
And that was the Shetland. There it is, and there's the Shetland trader. Oh, sorry. Let's get back to the Shetland trader. Yeah, there's a Shetland trader. So we tracked it on like shipping sites, on like the shipping tracking sites. So you can see it's like, you know, just coming up to the wind farm, like just behind the wind farm. There it is. That was 12.1 nautical miles. That's 13.9 miles. And that's a hidden height of 27 meters or 90 feet. But if you look at the ship itself, the ship itself is quite a small ship with a depth of 5.5 meters. But it's got a hidden height of 27 meters. It's just, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, that was the Shetland trader, and then another ship that came along. There she is. So like the Shetland trader's just gone past on like the right hand side, and then there is this ship coming, and then again we tracked that ship there, so you can see the Shetland trader just at the top, and then you see this ship here. Big ship, like 20.8 miles away. It's a big like tanker ship. Again, it's got a depth of 21 meters. But once you do that, it gives a hidden height of like 70 meters. So that's about, 70 meters is what? About like 12 like houses. Yeah, about 12 like 2-story houses. So if you compare that, then the whole ship, apart from the very top bit, should not be visible. But there she is, 20 miles, nearly 21 miles away.
But look at that. You can see the top part and the bottom part differentiated. It's quite clear. You know, there's no obstruction there in that, is there?
No.
I think that's what's fundamental. You said it's a clear day, and we can all. I think we all know what happens on a cloudier day. We see less distance, but from the ball perspective, what they're trying to pretend is that the light bends a little less on the days when you couldn't see that far, John. You know, yet and that's important. If you've been there previous days, if you look at those wind turbines, it may, on that one-off shots of those days, resolve to give that perfect image. But for their paradigm to hold true, then what has to happen is the curvature with slightly less refraction, 7/6R, a less super 7/6R day, the curvature has to start to creep in. All they ever demonstrate is a loss of distance, which is what we predict. And I think that's as fantastic as your photos are on that day. They'll try and hold that. It was a super lumen, super refraction, 8/6R day. Do you know what I mean for that? But can you address maybe some of that in your vernacular? Because I think that's important to talk about the light rays, what they say, and the reality of what we're seeing here, that it's not a possibility from a ball.
Well, I can only say what I'm seeing is reality. What they're saying is, well, they'd have to prove it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but they would say it's 7/6R. That's why you can see it. It's rendered, but even 7/6R, as it you know, as we used to call it, it's a dolly, a top heavy fraction, a dolly Parton. So even that isn't rendering to give you a flat image infinitum across any distance. It will only that 7/6R is only going to render to give you a certain area that looks flat. It's never going to render for infinity. What we see is a reduction in distance, not in terms of viewing distance, not a variation in the application of 7/6R. Mate.
Yes, but you can also deal with like what I'm showing at the moment. So you can see that the Shetland Trader has a superior mirage.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it only has one story of windows, but you can definitely see 2 stories of windows in like the image.
Yeah.
So if we deal with these mirages, then okay, we know what a superior mirage.
Okay, so we're moving on to that. It's not just a re-rendering just by the basic bending of light, but the only way that a ball can then fall back is to go into miraging effects.
Well,
so it's not just yeah.
Well, I've got my logical antecedent for. So here's our 2 kinds of mirage: the inferior mirage and the superior mirage, where you get the inverted, picture. You can see like it's inverted. Now, quite simply, as shown here, if you place a block in the way, you can't see the real thing, the image of the real thing. It will look blocked. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So if I put a block there, or if I hold my finger or my thumb right in front of my face, right in front of my eye, you will not be able to see the normal picture. If I put that block on the road, I will not be able to see the inferior one, the inferior mirage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that proves that to see the picture of the real thing, the light has to travel like in a straight line to the person's eyes. And you can prove that because you can just put your thumb out in front of you, and you will not be able to see like what you're looking at, the object. So it has to travel in a straight line to see the real thing.
Yes.
So if we do the same with a superior one, so here's our superior mirage. As that we can see here, the superior mirage is just above the normal image. And we know that the light bends down, so you see the superior mirage. And again, if we put a block in the way between the real object and the observer, then you don't see the real object. You would only see the superior mirage. If we then put the block up higher, you would see the real object, but not the superior one, superior mirage. So, and again, you can test that for yourself just by putting your thumb in front of your face. So that proves that the logical antecedent is if you can see the object purely for itself and you can see the mirage, that object must be in a straight line from the observer. Is that making sense?
Yeah, I like that. Does anyone else want to chip in?
Because if I put my thumb there, I can't see the object, but I can see the superior mirage. So obviously, so if I'm standing on a flat piece of land and looking out at that, and I put my thumb in the way, the light must be traveling in a straight line between the real object and me. So if I go back to this, I'm seeing the real object plus the superior one, above it, the superior mirage. So the logical antecedent is because I can see the real object, it has to be there, and the light between me and that object has traveled in a straight line.
totally agree.
So there's no curve. If there was curve, you would not be able to see the original one, the actual Shetland trader, the object.
Yeah, that's one thing I always would ask people, okay, where's the real object? If we're only supposed to see, the top 20 feet of this object, where are those 20 feet? Why can't I see the top of the lighthouse, just the top behind the curve, but like big, zoom in on it and have the curve cut it off and get the lighthouse in there. It never happens. You never see the object and then a mirage above it, which you would think you would have to see the original object always.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? For you to see the mirage above the object, you kind of need to see the object, unless there's another obstruction. I would say this is the point, John. I want to. Is it second? Because it can be obstructed, but is that a secondary obstruction with blurring, refraction, etc.? But you can't have a physical obstruction in terms of a geometric leading edge that obscures it. Is that too convoluted? Or
well, I'm saying if you can see the non-inverted one and the inverted one, you are seeing the non-inverted one because light is traveling in a straight line from you. So light's traveling in a straight line between you and the real object. So if you see like a mirage and you can see the real object, the light has to be traveling in a straight line. It has to be. There's no, like I've shown, it has to be traveling in a straight line, because if you put a block in the way, you just wouldn't be able to see it. So as long as you can see, like a mirage, and you can see the real thing, plus like the inverted one, because you're seeing the real thing, that light is traveling in a straight line. It's as clear as that, because it has to be.
So to reverse it then, if there was a leading geometric edge of a ball that was supposedly an obstruction, we would never see the object.
Yes, you would see the superior one, you'd see the superior one, like above the object, but you'd never see like the object itself. Yeah. But because you can see that object, that the light has traveled, or is traveling, in a straight line between like that thing which you're looking at and you. Like it has to be. It's like it's proven. Stand on a straight road. Stand on a straight road. We've all been in like that situation there, where we've seen the inferior one in like the road, and if you block it, so if you suspend a block in the air, you will not see the real object. You will not see it. The light has to travel in a straight line, but between the real object and you. Has to. Because otherwise you won't see the object, will you? So like we know that we know that that's what we know that is what's like taking place in like that situation. So we know if that gets blocked, you will not see that car. So for the human to see that car, the light has to travel in a straight line to see the real thing, like where it is. So like I know when I see that the object, with the normal thing, that's like not inverted. The light between there and me is traveling in a straight line. And But if that's 13 miles away, that would have to be, like behind you at the curve. And so thus it wouldn't be traveling in a straight line, it would be traveling in a curved line. But if it was traveling in a curve into my eye, in a downward curve, then I would not see it, because it would then again be a superior, mirage, because it'd be traveling around the curve and like down into my eye. So I wouldn't see it like that. So it doesn't matter what the rulers say about, this and that. It's clear. So mirages prove that we don't live on a ball. That's what they prove.
Yeah, they prove it very nicely too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because if you see the real object, it has to travel in a straight line. The light has to be traveling in a straight line. Because if the light was curving around the ball into your eye, you wouldn't see it the right way round. You would see it as a superior. So you'd never see the real object the right way round.
And what would the conditions need to be, John, for the light to actually curve around the ball like that? Wouldn't it take an ever increasing density of medium to be able to keep drawing that light down towards the Earth?
Yes.
Right. And isn't it true? Well, I think we all know the answer to this, but that's completely opposite of what the globe model actually is, because you're right. That is exactly what it would require to draw that imagery around the ball or down the curvature. It takes an ever increasing density medium. The density has to be increasing, and by the very nature of the ball itself, when you have light starting at a certain point above the Earth, and as it travels away from you in any direction, doesn't matter what direction it is falling off at 8 inches per square mile, which means that it's actually constantly going into a less dense medium and a less dense medium. So the very design of the globe itself, makes this possibility almost impossible. Therefore, when they come up with things like 7.6R as a quote-unquote standard refraction, that is completely absurd and a blatant balls-out lie, right?
Yes.
It's just, and the only reason that we even do see downward refraction, occasionally, and honestly, from what I've seen in your experiments and in FE Core's experiments, we've seen the laser shoot up into the air. Now, why does that happen? Well, it happens because there's no downward curvature. So essentially what's happening is there will be times when you will come across a, let's say, possibly a cooler section. You might have kind of like an opposite of a Chinook wind, and which will change the density, right? And it will cause that light to shoot off and go into up in the air. Whereas sometimes it may change and go down. But just because of the very design of the globe itself, that makes it damn near impossible that it would ever happen on a globe. So to even mention the idea of a standard refraction like it happens all the time is preposterous. And it's just another huge lie.
It is completely ridiculous. Like you say, the density has to, be increasing. So you'd have vertical layers of air, becoming more and more dense. So it doesn't even match their model.
No, it's completely opposite of it.
Because it'd have to be vertically, striated.
Yes.
I have a question for you, John, because I did things in the practical nature and I'm watching. I don't remember right offhand, but I know in one of the talks we were talking about what refractive index would be necessarily to bend the atmosphere the way they're saying to accommodate the ball. And I remember it getting way up there, like it was close to corundum or something, in a I was putting it on a refractive index scale. No, I know that in practical world, like when I test the refractive index of something, it doesn't matter if I'm testing, let's say I'm testing quartz, right? It doesn't matter if I'm testing the refractive index of a little piece of quartz or a big piece of quartz. The refractive index of quartz is the refractive index of quartz. Now, the way that they're explaining the atmosphere is the more of it is, the more augmented the refractive index goes. But I was curious your take on that, because in reality that I've dealt with, it doesn't happen like that in reality. In other words, you don't have more of it and it gets more of a refractive index. It has a refractive index, and that's the angle it bends light at.
That's the differential mathematically, is that you have to step into baller world, don't you? But the reason for the rate of augmentation and differentiation is because, of course, those free moving gas particles are adhering to the outside of a ball. Yeah, that's how. So as you travel across it, as a light ray would travel, or whatever you want to call in its straight path, it isn't the path that you're going to. The path changes because the orientation of the atmosphere changes underneath it, because basically it's supposedly falling away. That's what's supposed to cause the 7/6R, which makes things magically render as flat. I mean, it's preposterous.
That's preposterous. I mean, that's just,
yeah.
It just doesn't. Augmenting them again, the numbers to that number to, again, it's back engineering the numbers, and we know the numbers work because that's what they back engineered to. That's what they solved the problem to. That's what going into people and the different maths on it, you don't understand these varies like a group of, there's a lot of smart people out there we call scientists, and they're told to solve, if we're on a ball spinning at this and that, how far away is, in other words, you have to back engineer the numbers. So they're going to back, and then when you make enough things click in there, you have a win on it. They're engineering it to the ball number. So again, their formulas are going to be back engineered perfectly, because that's when you get a winning, your winning little thing is when you find the math that works for that.
That's the point.
If you solve for flat, I think we'd find that our scientists could do it very quickly, because you're taking a lot of the complications out of it. You're giving you a much simpler baseline to solve for, and that's what I think they want to keep them away from.
That back working is what they solved for back in the day, isn't it? To a level that, unfortunately, technology has surpassed now, which means it's able to demonstrate that mathematics is incorrect via observation. I think that's where we're at today. I think 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't really, unless you're university kind of equipment, you're not getting these images, are you? This is John rocking up down the beach. Do you know what I mean? And without that volume and the ability for everybody to demonstrate that, I don't think what John showed here is, by our understanding, these images aren't possible. I mean, look at that. Look at the potential you've got there. Every single one of those turbines, each one of them is subject, that straight light ray is subject to 7/6R apparently. Yeah, it renders perfectly flat. Even on another day, I may not see the fifth one, the sixth one, but I'll see the fifth one, and it renders perfectly flat. That's what, to me, is impossible. That is not, those path routes aren't possible. It's just not doable. All you ever see, and what has been excused, which is things disappearing from bottom up, is the distance excuse, and that's put down to the curvature. But these, I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. That just demonstrates.
Even if they said light was refracting around the curve, wouldn't light from those separate 6 turbines have to be refracting slightly differently?
Yeah, but to render level as a flat plane to your eye, that's just the impossibility of it, isn't it? Look at it. Not one is out, each one perfectly just matches perspective. It's just a mathematical impossibility when you think about optics. If you're going to say the reason for that rendering is a concentration gradient in the atmosphere, you know what happens when you look at the original Black Swan image where the ball has jumped on it and going, yeah, but look at the wobbly bits at the top where where they've got like heat vents, and you can see just those small amounts how it distorts the image up there with just that bit of heat that's coming through. They're trying to pretend that level of distortion that you see is the reason that image renders level. It's just bunkum.
And you can see like reflection in the blue light water right at the front, can't you?
Yeah, the white dots again.
Can you see that reflection there?
Yeah.
Would you get that round a curve?
No.
You couldn't get the reflection around a curve. That's like impossible. Again, it's a beautiful picture of an impossibility. I know that when we lived in Denver, just part of my regular route getting out of the neighborhood, we were up by the airport, and my regular route took me on a street where I would look across to the south and see Pikes Peak that was close to 100 miles away, and should not have. There's so many of these things are impossible. Look around everybody in your everyday. You don't have to, anybody can find around you with a drive a situation. It's not possible. It defies reality.
Yeah, look at that reflection there. There's no way to get that round the curve, like, is there?
Oh, I've got it. I've just seen it, John. Yeah, I thought you meant just the blue.
No, there.
The reflection of the turbines.
The turbines there. Yeah, there.
What's it called? Circumspection.
I'm sorry.
What's the word?
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Well, that's not possible then, is it?
No.
Hold on. Would that mean that the light is refracting around the curve and then like reflecting off that bit of water?
No, because especially if you think about the angular difference from that point where it's hitting that bit of water and then entering your eye from that point of reflection, for you to see
does not work at all.
No, man,
in reality,
work on a ball.
You could make it work a little bit with concave and flat, but yeah, unless it's a mirror scope, yeah.
So like I think there's no way they can talk around that, but but they put but they talk, so it's fine.
Let's give the final nail in their coffin then, John, because like I said, we've looked at that and there's so much great evidence, but then like you said, you did start to wonder what's that in the background.
How many nails does one coffin need for real?
This one's more like a giant spike.
I'm gonna think
the
30,
final one.
30 or something. I don't know.
It's either 33 or 42, because I know 33 sounds right, but 42 is the answer to life. So we gotta. Where are we? I think we've done the.
Yeah, well, the coffin this size, it needs 66.
Well, yeah, we started with the 200 proofs, and now we're. No, we see too far. One of my favorite proofs.
The best one.
It's really the best, right? Thinking about it's really the best one there is.
It really is. And then everything else just supports it left, right, and sideways. I mean, as I've always said, it's the preponderance of evidence, led off by the fact that we simply see too far. And then everything falls right into place behind it, from all the globe Earth fails to the NASA fraud. It all just adds up.
So how can we measure the distance of that horizon from the left edge to the right edge? Like, how far would that be? Science works in mysterious ways. Put a comment in the chat saying, how do they explain the uniform horizontal refraction refracted exactly to what appears to be a perfect flat horizon?
That question's for you, Dr. John.
Well, I don't think they do. Yeah, do they? They just repeat like 7/6R, super looming, like refraction, that they just repeat things.
So we're living in a can, according to their view, basically.
Yeah,
Our only can.
Like Quantum Eraser says, "Bagok!" It just parrots, "Bagok!" It.
Yeah.
So, so they just keep saying the same thing, and it's it's just a chant, really, isn't it? It's just keep saying it, and if I keep saying it, then it must be real. That's fair enough, yeah. But we're not here to change their minds, are we? We're here for for people who come with questions that are genuinely questioning things, and we want to and we want this here for them to look at and just think about.
Yep. Boy, I could not agree with that more, Dr. John. And that's exactly my whole philosophy on it. I don't give a damn about convincing the ballers or people like the Brumpus or any of those crazy idiots. I just want to put out our information as best as we can present it and let them be the judge of it, and hopefully present it in such an atmosphere where it is untainted by these idiots going around doing all the things they do to try and dissuade people from looking into it.
Yeah, we just want to put it there for people, for people to do their own thinking and make their choice, like their judgment. Here's what this book says. Here's what we've got. Well, you make your own mind up, or you could, buy a camera and you can take your own pictures.
Yeah. And that's one thing.
What I'd written in chat earlier. It feels good to get back to some of this, because unfortunately this year has had way too many freaking things that has kept us a little preoccupied and distracted away from some of these basic proofs right here in our faces. So it's good to see this. Thank you for bringing it to our show. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree, Walt. We do need more of this, and yes, thank you, John, for doing this, and that's kind of the conclusion I came to a couple months ago with Globebusters. It's like, what, COVID has taken over our lives, both literally and figuratively, and I just do not want to keep feeding this beast.
Nope. Yep.
And that's why I switched back. Let's go back to why we were doing this in the first place.
Feels good. Thank you guys for sure.
But it's funny because what's funny living on the South Coast is that most people, when you just talk to most people, they just think Earth is a really big ball. They do not appreciate how small it is. Yeah, according to the mathematics, they've got no appreciation.
That was the hardest part for me to accept. Was that they fooled me that bad on something. I mean, I was never told how much it was supposed to curve. I was just told it was too big to see the curve.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, when you tell people the 8 inches per mile and start putting some real numbers to it. But what I also did that worked really, really well with people on the one-on-ones was I don't know, in most areas, but where I've lived, the average driving mile is people drive an average of 12 to 1,500 miles a month. And when you look at this and say that, over the course of the year, you're getting, you're almost driving around the world, when you start looking at the distances and driving them, you take a 10-hour road trip or a 5-hour road trip or that, and just start putting them into real distances, chopping them down, and the world is a much, much smaller place than we grew up knowing, or that the feeling that they gave us when explaining it was always so big but it's really not. The measurements really are not that big. We drive a good portion of it. You have people driving coast to coast. There's a lot of curvature there. When you fly to Hawaii, there's supposedly, there's quite a bit of curvature. We should be experiencing it daily, but we don't.
Yep. Yeah, buddy. All right.
There's on that. It's quite. It's something Chocolate saying. posted on the Discord stuff this week. It's from the Flat Earth Debunking Flat Earth Misconceptions site. John's still sharing, so I won't share. I'll just quickly read it. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson once incorrectly stated that it is still too low to see Earth's curvature from the height of Felix Baumgartner's jump. In reality, we should be able to see it. So this is their statement. Flat Earthers believe people take Neil's remarks as gospel and use it to dismiss any observations of Earth's curvature. But we have no problem saying Neil was wrong. It is okay to be wrong as long as we are willing to revise our views when faced with new facts, and we are certain Neil will. I found that quite telling this week that the ballers are turning on themselves, even their high priest Neil, the disgraced Tyson.
So, what newfound facts did they find to say that Neil was wrong?
They're not, mate. They just need him to say it was wrong. Otherwise, they're in shit, aren't they? and they are certain he will. Let me. Can I just quickly share screen, Josh?
Yeah,
For sure. Let me give you the
That's that power around.
He won't share. Look, host disabled me. I'm disabled.
Oh no!
Well, now then that's a different show.
You said
Gonna
it
be a
not
fee. You're gonna have to pay a fee then, Adam.
Speaking of paying fees, thank you so much, Brian. Earlier, Brian Gaska dropping a super chat. Thank you, Brian. Love you, brother.
Thank you so much for Enlightened Dawn becoming our newest patron as well over on
Nice.
Patreon.
It's kicking like that. Thank you, Don. Love
Dawn
you.
becoming our newest.
Oops. Sorry, that was me.
That freaked me out.
Bad,
me out.
Bob.
So yeah, there's the statement just on that. And I think it's quite telling, as we're talking about, we were all told this on these firm facts that we were told that we questioned. They can't even come to a consensus of agreement anymore because apparently Neil's wrong. Look, you don't see the curvature. The thing I would point out, if you look at that picture,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
is there's the simulated view, look at Earth's curvature, which seems to be exactly the same as if you were looking from a cockpit window in picture number 4. But surely a cockpit window distorts the image, yet somehow the Earth's curvature for 128,000 feet is the same. But just a point of observation, but go on, Walt. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, I lost my mute button. Yeah, we talked about this, I believe, on one of our very first hangouts. My brother was there and had a graphic he presented of some nature to show. The whole thing was the meme going around with the Baumgartner jump saying, where's the ocean if that's the Earth below him? Because you can't see anything but brown dirt the whole way down. So he set up, I don't remember how he did. I think he did it by pixels because he didn't even have any kind of drawing program like a, high-end graphic, anything. So he just made it happen, but he showed with these pixels that the height he would be, not only wouldn't you see the curve, you wouldn't see the ocean, you wouldn't see anything basically, from the little dot above the Earth simulation they tell us the size is and all this. I think we also used that to show that the Go rocket, there would be no way to see the moon and the sun at the same time from the height it was. I think he did the same thing with those same little drawings he used. I don't know. I think it's probably on our other channel. I think it's on the Havenosphere podcast channel. I'll go dig around and see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's around somewhere. We need to get that put up over here. See, I might have a little bit of that in Neil deGrasse Tyson actually too somewhere.
I know,
there. Okay,
I
all
know,
right.
but I was like, I know.
So just a
but
couple
you're
of things
so smart.
since I'm holding Earth here. One reason why we should go into space is because the dinosaurs would have if they could have. 65 million years ago, right here, the tip, the Yucatan Peninsula.
Oh yes.
A rock the size of Mount Everest slammed into Earth, and it changed the climate of the world, rendering 70% of all species extinct. The dinosaurs are just the ones with the biggest teeth that we remember most.
Oh, no, sorry. I guess this is different nonsense.
Just some more other rambling nonsense.
Right. This is dinosaur nonsense.
Pick a pile. He's in it.
I lose track of all this man's expertise as an astrophysicist.
While you're digging around, shout out to the naked man himself, Baldini. Thank you, brother. We appreciate it. Another super chat.
Hashtag bald and naked.
Bomb diggity.
Before we go too sideways, can I still just see France, please? Just show me France, and then qu'est-ce que c'est avec le français? I don't know if that makes sense, but
Is this like for Baldini? Like I see London, I see France, I see Baldini's underpants, or what are we doing here?
Me too.
I just want to
Come
finish.
on, American, you were thinking that. Oh, look, I shut up the entire show.
What you did?
You broke it.
I'm digging for a video. I'm doing live research. My favorite thing.
So yeah, it looks like land, yeah, doesn't it?
It does.
Wait, let me get back. Hang on.
Unless it's something else that's a couple of miles wide.
It definitely seems to be land or a really flat, long ship.
Yeah, a really long ship.
Yeah, that definitely looks like land to me.
It's the Kraken.
Did you match it up with the land? Did you like take it out, map it, and match it up at all, or?
Yes, let me up. Let me try and find. Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah. So there's me. There's the 6 wind turbines, and there is. So it may be that section there. And Ranty did his full analysis on the place it might be. So yeah, so go straight across to that section there, and so this here would be blurry. Which is what we kind of get. And that may be blurry land in the background around the curve, and that's a bit of the curve sticking out.
Right.
So how far away are we talking there, John?
79 miles. Yeah, 79 miles.
Yeah.
Just wondering, have you ever manipulated this with any kind of color filtration? I know sometimes when I did that back when I was doing a lot of sky pictures, it would show things. I don't know if it works with this kind of photography or videography. Just filtering it to see if you can pick up if that is land to the right between the stack or between the the bases, that kind of thing. You might could pick it up in a different color scheme or something. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how manipulation works with the video as much as I do with the pictures.
No, I just put it into Word or like something like that and just play about with it slightly. So like nothing, so nothing like serious. Just like contrast, brightness. Yeah, but nothing serious.
Inverting it or anything like that.
Well, it's good we're not serious because it's a Friday night, but keep going.
Right, indeed it is, Cammy. Indeed it is.
Can I just get mathy again there? So we've got an observer height here. What is this? Is this the 3 foot or
3.5 feet? Yeah, 1 meter.
So 3.5 squared is what let's call it 10. So it should be 10 miles to the horizon. Yeah, roughly. Is that right? 10 times yeah. So we're seeing something best part of 80 miles away.
Wow.
When there should be a physical obstruction 10.
So the geometric horizon is at 2.3 miles. For here, yeah. For here, the geometric is at 2.3 miles.
Sorry, I squared it, didn't I? I think I should know that formula. Sorry, it's the square root of 3. I squared it.
It's 2.3, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's even worse, isn't it, for him? I was being stupidly
You're
kind.
being nice.
Yeah, you were being very kind. Yeah, and then we got 8 miles, 9, 10, 11 miles. The ship on the left-hand side, I'm not sure which one that is. That's either 13 miles or like that's 20 miles. And then we've got this big brown thing here.
It's Mr. Hanky.
Supposedly, like 79 miles. So it's just, yeah. And you saw in the previous ones, we've got like reflections here and yeah.
And as we said earlier, renders perfectly to perspective as well.
Yes.
But, every bit of that image, even the darkness of the turbines, the yellow and the black never goes above the horizon. It sits there and lowers slightly. Every single bit of that image renders as if it's a perfect image on a crystal clear day on a flat plane. I can't see any evidence to suggest that it's nothing other than that. Oh, great shot, mate.
But it's quite weird because when you show this, when you show this picture, to people, they think it's just normal. They're like, right, yeah, okay, yeah, like normal picture, you're showing me a normal picture, yeah, that kind of looks like France in the background, and then you say to them, but you do realise you shouldn't be able to see those wind turbines, those black marks where it meets at the sea, and you do realise you shouldn't be able to see that boat and that stuff in the background, that brown stuff. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, it's around the curve, isn't it? They're like, well, no, it's not. It's there. You can see it. And you're like, oh, right.
That's what been mugged off.
Yeah, it's for some people. You could show them anything, and the cogdiss is not going to allow them to filter it. I mean, we've been doing this for a while now, and there's some people, that I have that are close to me, and they will just they don't even want to look at it. They just don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. Almost like it scares them.
I'm sure it does, but I think we're getting to the point where that's not going to cut it anymore. I think we're reaching a critical mass where people just aren't going to be able to jam their fingers in their ears and close their eyes really tight and just pray and pray and pray that the earth is a ball. They are going to have to look at it. It's just going to be too in their face. They're going to be pressured. Like people were pressured to wear a mask. They will eventually succumb and just have to accept the fact that they've got to at least look into it.
I've been thinking about this, and I've been thinking what this means is we are trying to force people in a way to take responsibility for their own thinking. And many people don't want to do that. It's like, just tell me what's what, tell me how to think, tell me what to think so I can just lead my life. And this is what this is doing. We are saying to people, look at this. Now take responsibility for your own thinking, do your own research, and let's see where it leads to. But it would seem to me that many people don't want to take responsibility for their own thinking. They don't. It's too much hard work.
Yeah. Well, think about all the different ways they've been taught to put their brain over here on the shelf and let some authority lead them whatever path, be it religious, educational, governmental, whatever, pick one. I mean, we've been down this road. We know it's not new. So, but definitely, what Josh was saying there with what's been going on, it's almost too in their faces at this point. They have to either pull the sheet over their head and just willfully be ignorant or choke on it a little bit and wake up. I mean, there's really no greatest apocalypse ever, I believe James True keeps saying.
But again, what you just said means that people have to take responsibility. it means that you just go along with it, or like you say to yourself, no, I'm now responsible like for myself. I will review, the information for myself. I will make a judgment, like for myself. It's people, like taking like responsibility, but they don't. Well, one, I think perhaps they don't want to. Two, I know the education system does not train people to take like responsibility.
The education system advocates responsibility all the way down. It's learn, learn, learn. Even the professional structures advocate responsibility. Don't they? That's the whole purpose of maintaining you in a paradigm. Is ultimately it's not your fault as long as you do as you're told. It weren't my fault. I put the Jews in the gas chamber because that's what I was told to do. That's the be all societally and educationally. That's the paradigm we're putting.
Well, look, even as I'm thinking that somebody in chat types that I was going to say, even that joke that your son shared with us that we share on our little promo about, walking around with the phone. Tell me something, internet, The earth is flat. See, it's like school in your hands. Even the thought processes have been removed, let alone the accepting your responsibility for your thought processes. Hell, the thought processes are out of there. You just Google it. There you go. They're saying it in chat. Thank you.
I know
again,
that,
you see there, Walt. It's not exactly that. Tell me something, internet. Tell me something. Not let me investigate and figure out whether this is true. Yeah, it's like school in your hands, just being told something.
Yep.
Right. I know that.
That was ball, Danny. I had to get back to chat.
Yeah.
I lost it. It rolled by too fast. Yes, right. Exactly.
As the mother of a high school student, I noticed, and this has been through the entire his schooling, and it's really changed since I was a child and was schooled. I was an old mother, but I've noticed that as far as the homework goes, it doesn't matter what you get right or wrong on the homework as long as you turn it in, you get it completed. But if you have things wrong on it, they can't tell you what the right answer is and why. We've ran into this a lot. All they tell us is it doesn't. We've even asked teachers, well, what is the right answer? This bothers him that he got it wrong. What is the right answer? And their answer is, oh, it doesn't matter. This is just a homework. You just fill in this part and he'll get 100%. You need to quit worrying about these anomalies because sometimes they have them wrong. It's only the tests, when they take the test parts, that it counts if they get it right or wrong. But they, again, put different, homework and doing the work. We don't really care. We mark them right or wrong and we put a number on it, but we don't factor that number in anywhere. So therefore you shouldn't care and he shouldn't care what the real answer is. And I think it's an interesting, as long as you memorize the stuff that's on a test, just a whole different interesting way of looking at it. And it wasn't there before I had my first glimpse of it when my son was 4 and working on going into kindergarten. And they wanted to test some basic facts on counting and letters and that. And my son was very, very, very bright. And he was already reading fluently and doing math and everything on here. So he's 4 years old. And the teacher is holding him different colored crayons and asking what color the crayons are. And he's literally rolling his eyes. And she got to a part of it where she said, okay, this is really, really hard. This is a tough one. A lot of kids mess up. So she holds up a white crayon. And he tilts his head and reads white off the side of it. And you know what she did? She marked him cheating. She marked a 4-year-old, the common sense out the door. They marked a 4-year-old because she didn't tell him to read it, because reading is not a skill that you get for a couple more years. And so he cheated by using a skill that he's not supposed to acquire yet for a getting into kindergarten test. So tell me where any common sense is in our system whatsoever. And I've been dealing with that ever since. It's like the common sense is washed out entirely out of the
public school system.
Education. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Look at all the things that the public school system is taking away from human beings.
The ability to understand why you're right or wrong. As long as you memorize the facts, you don't need to know how it works. What kind of learning is that? How is that learning how to learn?
Right. You're not going to need to know the correct answer. It's only the homework. It doesn't matter if that's you don't need to know what the right answer is. I mean,
I can
you
write.
will
Yeah,
for the
I can write in
test, 'cause
code
that's where
for
it
my
counts.
son
Fuck it.
by doing cursive. They don't teach the kids cursive anymore, nor have they for years. So if I want to write code around my son, all I have to do is switch to cursive. It's pretty damn funny.
Oh, that's not funny.
But no,
That's,
it's sad. It's not funny at all.
Reading. They don't teach them phonics. It's
They
pure
don't teach
rote
them.
memorization of a
It's
list of fucking words. Sorry.
Think
of a
how
list of that.
important.
Yeah,
I
entirely
had to
going
teach
as
my
far as the
son homeschool, basically educate his education, because the crap he would bring home, it was like, really, this is what they're doing. I was just stunned.
But the reading, I mean, the fact that they can't go and read handwritten documents. We're talking handwritten documents that are not that far back. This is not. Again, to make it that this whole generation of kids does not have that skill. How scary is that? And how stupid is that?
That's
It's not about, well, the position of a, I don't know, the 15th electron in an iron atom is fundamentally different at GCSE, A level, and then degree level. And the education system isn't about teaching you anything factually, as you're graded, and the grades you receive is based on your ability to repeat, as you said, Karen, the ability to repeat facts. That's all it's about now. Can you regurgitate the mark points in the syllabus? Not as it used to be. Are you able to demonstrate an understanding of this topic?
Exactly. Can you think that they take away the thought process? They don't even want the thought process there with
They
these
don't
kids.
want them to ask questions either.
They don't want them to ask questions. I got to tell you at Flattoberfest, and Zach will also attest to this, how hungry and bright these children are and how excited they were to do hands-on learning. I mean, just the hands-on learning. And when I say the kids, I mean,
Yeah, that was so cool.
I mean the 2-year-olds, I mean the 4-year-olds, the 7-year-olds, the 8-year-olds, the 15-year-olds, the 18-year-olds, and some of the 80-year-olds even we had there. But they wanted, we were surrounded and they were digging on seeing how things worked, you know, how light was affected, how electricity, you know, touching the magnets and that. They wanted this information. They are so hungry for it. I mean, they are dying for it. Ask Zach how they were lit up and what kind of energy we even had around our table. I'm going to let Zach talk because
That's
I know
probably why you're glowing like you are, like we were talking about earlier. It's all that energy of those kids. Just, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they were, it made me act like a little child again. It really did.
I've heard it on the show in the morning, man. You're more pumped up at 4 in the morning than I can be, folks. Yeah, so definitely the energy rubbed off on you guys.
Yeah, Dr. John D, while you're doing that with the people, the Globers or whatever, I got to tell you, it's much more gratifying and happy to work with the children. Even the Glober children, I converted a 10-year-old, but just by showing and looking too far and just making him think. He loved to have to think. I mean, getting to think, letting the kids think. I think the kids are our future, and some of the places we should be concentrating this is on. These kids are so bright. They are on top of it. They understand. They see. They are brighter than we are. They're a lot smarter than we are, and we can hope to be, again, all the people that brought their bright, friendly, mostly unvaccinated, over-the-top, sharp children to this thing and surrounded us with them. Thank you. Again, the energy off of the scale.
Yeah, again, I think the education system, does just teach children to regurgitate facts rather than like teaching them to look at 2 like different sides or 3 different sides, research the information, form their own point of view, and then like present their own point of view, how to, like logically think, how to spot when, people are making, statements that, that don't make sense, or like just based on like pure assumptions, to look who's making like a logical statement, who's not making like logical statements. But if we taught children to do that, they would look at loads of things in life and be really shocked, wouldn't they?
They would. And it's a shame, and they can get it all. One of the things that bothers me, I know that it bothers me, like in the industry I'm in, and it bothers me with watching how the children work and how they're learning, because now everything they're doing is digital and on computer and completely, again, digitalized, not hands-on, not going out digging in the dirt and the way I think it should be. But I think that we're losing this when they want to know so much and they want to see how it works. And we've turned it into, again, in my industry, I know that we used to, like, for instance, the refractometer, you would watch the optical jump. It happened in front of your eyes, just like I did for you on the screen, Dr. John, where I made like the moon jump. The optical jump and different things like that with double refractive things. We used to see that and test it and know that what we were testing, like a birefringence, was simply how much the object jumped. Now I see that all the equipment that comes out, you don't see anything anymore. You put a piece of equipment on a tray and it gives you digital spit outs of number sets that you match up to a grid. But they're taken away in every way that we look at things. They're taken away by putting it digital. They're taking away our hands-on understanding of really what we're seeing and what we're looking at and what we're understanding, and making it all that it's digitalized and you just go to a computer to figure it out, and they're losing our entire touch with reality. And I wanted your thoughts of it as an academic on this.
Yes, yeah. You know, like, totally agree with you. It's you know, kids are losing that like hands-on ability to try things for themselves. Even it's like, you know, once you start to try something for yourself, you realize, wow, this is much harder. This is much harder, you know, than I really thought. It's like, as soon as you go down to the sea and start to do, you know, these observations, you're like, hold on. At NASA say they see how far? Really? I'm having problems seeing 5 miles most nights. And what? And at NASA saying they can see how many light years? Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. It's amazing once you know, like you say, once you start doing something for hands-on, you gain like you know, like real experience, and then you start to actually really question things because you've got some real life experience, and you're like, well, hold on a second, this guy told me that and this book said that, but you know, yeah, but from what I'm seeing, they actually haven't provided the proof yet for that. They've just like said that, or they've shown me a table, but where did they get those numbers from? Yeah. It's almost like it's like a generation of like users rather than you know,
Doers.
You know, like trying things like for themselves, right. Finding things for themselves, and more importantly, you know, starting to question things for themselves.
Well, I think even Zach was talking about it. It may have been on a morning show that he went to school with all the stuff in the class with the Bunsen burners and all that, and they never did anything with it. They never touched it. And I know my son,
never.
They never did anything like that. Luckily, I guess I'm old. We got to play with all the toys, you know, but definitely, I mean, they started phasing out the music programs. They started phasing out the art programs. Anything that gives you that hands-on experience rather than a freaking screen in your face, you know, they've pretty much removed it. It's all just, like Cammie said, digitized.
And again, with a screen in front of your face, it's very difficult to, you know, if I've got a screen, I can't then say to the screen, well, I think you're wrong. There's no...
Right.
It just... You know, that just strips that away. It takes away that humanness of like questions.
Well, that's exactly it, John. The screen's there to program the person viewing the screen. It's not there to interact with. It's not to there.
I know, but that's the problem. that's the problem.
It's not even there to offer further learning or an explanation outside of the parameters of the information it wants to digest. That's it.
Yeah, like, sorry, Adam, sorry. Yeah. Like, I just take these things for granted that we're here to talk and you know, like, just explore things. Yeah.
This is the thing. I mean, you teach kids, don't you? What age is it? Like GCSE?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I empathize with it when I teach students and they're, graduate, undergraduate level, when I've got hold of them. So there is a point where you can start to poke the bear and make them think. In terms of your role, I mean, it's an impossibility because you're there to make sure they can regurgitate those facts. And, maths, physics, a lot of we're fine. There's areas you've got to go into where you must be pinching your bum. But the reality is, it's not about the teachers and what's being taught to me. It's the fact that the whole system is now about regurgitation of facts and not about comprehension.
Yeah.
And following the rules. Like, again, don't cheat if you're a 4-year-old by reading because you're not supposed to have that skill yet. That's
I know,
cheating.
I'm still stunned by that one, Cammie, because that one blows me away. Because if anybody's a bright guy that learned, a young man, is Jeremy. Jaron. I'm reading too many things here on the screen. But yeah, you can tell the kids who weren't just sat in front of the TV to be babysat, like your son, Martin's son, Martin, who's here somewhere. I know Martin. What's up, brother? But yeah, cheating by learning how to read.
They're smarter than we are.
Breaks my brain.
They're much smarter than we are. I'm telling you.
My first grade teacher was the same way. She wanted to. I knew how to read and write, and I knew my multiplication tables up to 9 in first grade because I had a sister who was 3 years older, and she had to do flashcards because she had trouble in math. So I picked up on math quick. I knew all that stuff.
That's awesome.
But I had a hernia operation and chicken pox twice. I missed like 40-something days of school that year, and she wanted to hold me back because of that. My mom was like, "No, absolutely not." She's like, "Well, he could do a little bit maturing. He doesn't take his education seriously enough." And she told her, "I don't want to know a 6-year-old that takes his education seriously."
It's
no doubt wise.
All of us that sit out, that kid you talked about that can read me, and he's castigated into that category of a cheater. Is the reality is it isn't, and again it exemplifies the problem. He sits outside of their system of learning, what they want you to do, how they want you to learn, what they want you to learn. And as soon as you step outside of that, you are given those sorts of labels. It's a bit extreme in the example you give, Cammie, but it exemplifies it perfectly. I was like, similar thing. I was like 9, did a year at primary school, went up to the 4th year. Yeah, sat with kids who used to beat me up because they were like in puberty. That was a bit like young Sheldon. And this is the weird thing, how they fuck about with you because the system doesn't know what to do with you. So then I went from 1st year to 4th year and then sat there for 3 years. I didn't go on like young Sheldon does and stuff like that. Didn't know what to do with people because the system itself isn't designed to develop the individual. It's designed to ensure there's a level of inherent programming that all the populace receive. Whether or not that makes people doctors or whatever, it doesn't really matter. The purpose of it is to make sure we have a base level of understanding of reality, and that's inherent why they argue with us about the shape of the earth when we're kids. Why we're stupid if we question it.
If you can get the kids to understand, that's why they're like, how do we stick to a spinning ball? And they have all of the right questions, but they trust the adults and they're told the adults don't lie, and the adults don't mean to be lying to them. But as soon as you can get anybody to rethink the spinning ball, just rethink it, just critically think it, and you win. I mean, just to get them to look at it with the eyes of a child, open up again and ask the same damn questions that they asked as a child that made no sense, and the children were just pretty much said, "You're too stupid to understand or grasp this. Just trust the adults."
Yeah, I knew it was flat. I knew that we weren't spinning on a ball. I didn't believe it at first. I told my mom. I thought she was joking. I was like, "No." And then I was like, "Well, how does the water stick on? How does, if the water should go flying off?
Right.
Well, gravity.
How are those people underneath there hanging on? What's going on?
Yeah, how does gravity work?
I don't know really. It's just what they tell me. I remember saying
Yep.
Tell me.
the children, they have every single one of the questions right. And again, as long as you let them trust themselves and their senses, my God, they're bright kids.
Speaking of questions, before I lose it, I finally went back and found it. That's what I was actually reading earlier when I called Jerry and Jeremy. Sorry. Jerry Berry in chat asked this question of Dr. D. Does light have entropy or maybe density and sinks below the ground or sea? Which actually ties into something I researched years ago about nightfall being an actual physical thing. Like night literally falls. It's a frontal wave of something. I don't know. It's been too long for the details, but what's your opinion on that, Dr. D, or anyone here?
Yeah, I've got no idea. I don't, so I'm, at the moment, like I'm looking into light and, all the history, and I don't even know what light is. Oh yes. No, sorry. I do know what light is. It's a sensation. It's a sensation, which like we experience. That's about as much as I can possibly say without making huge assumptions, making up complete waffle and stories and nonsense.
Yeah, and I don't know about entropy specifically, Walt, but light is subject to, dissipating. I wouldn't say so much from, entropy causes, but from dispersal losses. In other words, I'm referring back to the inverse square law. So when light spreads out and has to cover more and more area, that energy per square meter or whatever reduces and reduces and reduces until ultimately, it has to be considered next to nothing. Now, the powers that be would love to have us believe that in a vacuum, that light and electromagnetic waves, radio waves, whatever, can travel on forever and ever and ever. And, maybe that's true, but there's a limit into what you can pull out and what would be referred to as a usable signal. In radio waves, you have to have enough signal to overcome the noise, right? And with light, you have to have enough light that is simply going to be detectable. Now, they would call it photons. I reject that notion altogether, but there has to be some quantity of light there, whatever it is, or some rate of induction still left to be able to detect it. And of course, our technology would be dependent on that, because obviously better technology, you get better receivers and stuff like that. So, but as far as, it being strictly subject to entropy, I think yes, but it's really kind of hard to define that, because as John said, we don't really know what the hell it is other than a perturbation of the luminiferous ether.
Kind of ether, right. Well, I know just the different types of light that have gone through our homes, our outer lighting, the changes in it, the way it makes you feel, the whole thing with people that have the seasonal issues and they're exposed to different light wavelengths, and the wavelength part of it just seems inescapable. That part of it just seems like we can't get out from that being, the electromagnetic frequency aspect of light. But when you said that about it being a feeling as well, Dr. John, it definitely hit a home place for me too. It's definitely visually vibrational. I can feel it sometimes. I don't know. I guess it's an art thing too, if you look at it that way.
Experience, isn't it? You experience it is the only way. I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to say wave, particle, whatever. I don't know. But certainly you experience it. In terms of in terms of that comment, Walt, I think that sounds a bit gravitational, and that would ascribe mass, density, and an application of something like that in terms of nightfall. I think Bob probably summed it up better. It's dissipation. In no way would fall in terms of density. That implies that to me, density.
Well, I think that was when we were kind of looking at the idea of the fluorescence of the gases, maybe in that time frame when that started becoming a question of what's going on with the sun and that kind of stuff, sunsets, etc., different colors, things like that.
Rate of fall there
So
could be expressed in terms of a defluorescence of the noble gases. So their agitation rate, that their rate of fall in terms of their step down from their illuminated
agitation to
the
right.
Yeah, after pre-activation can be differential to the rate of transition of any energy source. So their step down rate can be different to the movement rate. So maybe you would see a drop based on that, and that drop would be the kind of excitation drop of the noble gases, wouldn't it, in terms of how we perceive daylight?
Right, well, the other thing about, what John said about perceiving it, I can feel light, something like that. Now that kind of enters into the realm of when the frequency of the light becomes resonant to the sensors of the body. In other words, your eyes have a specific range of light or electromagnetic radiation that they will respond to, right? The visible light spectrum. Your sense of smell, I'm not exactly how that works, but again, there's going to be a specific range of frequencies that the olfactory senses are respondent to. Okay, hearing, obviously much lower auditory type waves, and also dependent on an atmosphere. So all of our senses and our feelings, our sense of touch, all of those things are really a body response or a body resonance to the electromagnetic frequencies, of these senses, right? So that's, I would agree with John. You sense it, but what exactly is going on beyond that? Well, that's why we need to continue looking into
what we're doing. So we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, we are the equipment to. Yeah, we are the equipment to read it. And one of the things I've recently gone through over the last few years is with the torn retina. I had a retina that tore away, and they reattached and everything. So I've got to see things a lot differently. One of the things that's finally coming back now, and it's a surprise because they thought it was all done healing, but things are really like picking up in my eye healing again. But for a while there, even though I couldn't make any outlines and I was like technically blind in the eye as it's recovering, I was picking up certain colors, but not others. So I could see blues and I could see greens. But if I was looking at a Coke can, a red can, like in the sea of blue or green or whatever, it would almost be like Photoshop where you circle it and take it out of the picture. It just was not there, and it was filled in entirely by the rest of the picture. So when I would look at dust and things like that and close the eyes, and it was just like blurry images of it, definitely colors just dropped out. They were not there for that eye. And again, I'd close the eye and look at the other eye. I knew they very much were there, but I think we forget how interactive that our senses are in making what we perceive around it, that without the instruments to pick it up.
Well, you're physically describing what I was going to say in a very more esoteric way. Exactly what James True was talking about with his aperture, the opening of you as a person, your senses, your everything, your whatever you want to call it, energy, your ability to see certain things other people don't even see, other people don't feel, other people don't resonate with. I think that has a lot to do with this whole thing as well. The person, where they are, what they've experienced or grown or, whatever. I hate to say the word evolve. I hate that word now.
Yeah. And, again, just to kind of expand on it a little bit more, when I talk about our senses being respondent to these electromagnetic wavelengths, it happens when there is a state of resonance. And when you have a condition of resonance, you have a state of maximum energy transfer. Okay, that's what resonance essentially means. There's a maximum energy transfer. And in that particular case, the body senses are stimulated, right? And so that, again, is how we feel or how we sense these changes in light, sound, heat, taste, touch, all that stuff. Well, at least that's how it registers to me as being true.
Oh,
I may
yeah.
be wrong. What do you think, John?
No, like I said, it's, to me, it's, I stare at the light, and all I can say is that I'm having this experiencing, I'm witnessing, like this experience. It's not just my eyes, skin as well. Skin as well is picking up this thing we call light. There's nothing more wonderful than just standing in the sunlight and soaking up the sunlight, is there? It's weird. It just feels, it feels, like I'm trying to find a word for it. It just feels, like I can't even put a word to it, but like
There's
standing
no
in the
word for it,
sunlight.
but it feels like you're in the golden sunlight. That's what it feels like.
Yeah,
You can definitely feel the sunshine. Can't you feel the sunshine? And you can feel the moonlight too. You can close your eyes and feel these things. You can. And I think everybody should. I think everybody should like go out, close their eyes under the moonlight, feel it, go out, close
That
your
was
eyes.
something even before I even got into all this, and we started talking about temperature difference with the moonlight, even as a kid, even as, like walking in and out of shades and things like that in the moonlight. I could feel it different, didn't know what it meant, didn't know what the difference was, but knew something was going on with it. It just felt different. The moon is a harsh mistress.
Oh, the moon is wonderful. It's just such a mystery. It's, oh my God, it's so annoying because it's like so close, but you just can't reach it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Just like staring up.
Standing out, barefooted, grounding out into the ground, reaching up for that ball, yep, or that light, or whatever you want to call it. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just staring at it going, you are so close, but I still have no idea whatsoever.
Something I tried that, John. I've failed miserably. She is a hell of a it's just like you describe it perfectly. She's so close that you just can't just get anywhere near her.
I used to think it followed me on long car rides.
It
When I
does.
was young. Yeah, I was
Yes,
like,
ma'am. Yes, sir. I mean, both of y'all. Yep. Used to talk about that with mom and dad in the car too. Like, it's following us. I see it.
look, Ma, it's in the same exact place as it was when, and it was probably only like 2 minutes ago. Children in the car, are we there yet? It's still there, Ma. It's still right there. Oh, yeah.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Oh.
Hey, Martin, do you have the moon in Wales?
No, it's
Or is it on
terrible
lockdown?
here. It's really bleak. The weather's terrible. Yeah, we have seen it been really bright. See a day ago. Really bright.
And I had mine set for it earlier. It must have gone off.
All right.
There it is. It's almost 3/4, something like that here.
I was thinking about birds giving us a clue to light, because, if there was like light anyway, an ambient glow outside of the sun or something, then I was thinking about birds, because birds' feathers is the word ether. And so birds' feathers, they're known to sort of have some sort of interaction electromagnetically, but all birds roost at night and they won't fly in the dark. So they could fly in the dark because they could electromagnetically or ley lines find their way home again, but they all land. So I was thinking there must be, apart from the ether and the ether with the feathers, because a bird does not fly, it is flown. A fish does not swim, it is swum. So I was thinking that there must be some sort of, maybe it's just the glow of the electromagnetics. But I think like birds are definitely related to light as well as the electromagnetics, is what I was thinking. But who knows? Any thoughts?
Is it a bird? I'm trying to remember. There was a bird that I'm gonna have to remember it better before I start talking about it. Because it might be,
You
now
know,
that I'm thinking about it.
Indian bird headwears, you know, with the feathers, they interact with the ether when you're walking. So they got different headwear, the Indian, the Native Americans, for each ceremony, because each feather setup will interact differently, you know, consciously with the ether. So, you know, I think there's clues with, you know, bird flight. Definitely. They don't need to land at night.
It's all of those things, right? John said it in terms of sunlight and interpreting it as a interpretation of physicality. When we see it, but we feel it on our skin and we enjoy it. And I don't want to get like metaphysical, but to me, all of these things seem to be metaphysical. We stick them, we can stick them in the ether. Whether they are part of the ether, whether some of them are part of an ether, whether some of them are part of some film, they all appear to be metaphysical things that seem to have this causality outside of their influences of our experience. And it's hard to then, when they sit outside of your experience, to try and give them causality together. But like when Martin talked, the way birds behave, the way they flock, the way they do, whatever they're interacting with, like I say, is something that to me is metaphysical. It certainly has its own causality that then interacts with our perceptions, whether that's visual, a bird's ability to fly a path, a fish to swim, us to feel sunlight or see sunlight when it's the same thing, apparently. To me, that's, I don't think we'll ever get there, and we're not supposed to, if I'm being honest.
Agreed.
I don't know. I think there are things that we're all supposed to be curious about and find different possibilities for it. I mean, that's the whole fun of it, is thinking about it. I know that with the birds and making noise in the middle of the night and that, sometimes they'll go crazy in the middle of the night, and I'll have to get up and look at my computer and see and go back, because I'll check space weather and see if we have any magnet. Yeah, you know, and I'm checking magnetic fields, and they react to it. They do.
So is it birds have this magnetic field thing they work with in their chest? Is that what I'm remembering right? That's what I couldn't remember.
They have magnetite in them. We do too. Yeah, they have several pieces in that, so they're very in tune to it. Dr. John Deere, did you want to play on this, or I can?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, it was some kind of.
That's where I'm at, John. Don't worry. I'm trying to remember.
Like what I watched a long time ago it was a magnetic effect of their eyes or something. They've got special magnetisms in eyes, and they
something. Yeah, I can't remember.
And they have actual magnetite crystals in them, and they have some in their beak and deposited. We all actually, as people, have if you reach up at the bridge of your nose, you have a little magnetite crystal, and they call it bestial in us. They say that we don't bestial. My mouth is gone. I'm reaching for words, but they say we don't use it anymore. It's like the appendix, and there's no use for it, but we really do sense magnetics and what's going on. And I know that my husband has played the game with me, and I play it all the time. I check pointing north and see if I can do it, and sure enough, I can do it. Usually, doesn't matter what the sky looks like or anything. Just try to focus in on it and hone in on it. You can find north. It's in your system.
Oh, you know,
that fucks me off. That really fucks me off, right? Of all the things they've robbed us from, right? You're telling me I've got my own fucking head magnet, right? That I
you
used
do.
to
You
be
have
able
a
to
head.
use.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've stole that. I don't disbelieve it. That's the thing. You can believe that we've been dumbed down and detuned from these things.
But have no fear. You can have an implant put into your chest that will keep you always attuned to magnetic north.
Right.
Company exists right now that will do that for you.
You can find all kind of articles on this in there just by typing in nose magnet. You actually have more in your system now that they just found more in your brain, and they're all over the places. But we definitely have the same equipment. We're born with it. They just say that we evolved past it. We don't use it anymore, which is really a shame, because it's there. Why not use it?
You see, there's the logic coming. When would you ever need to evolve past the head magnet? I know I won't have one in my own head. I'll just get one from the Cub Scout shop. I'll have my own magnet. You know what I mean? It's not something that's evolvable past. It's something that you have to be dampened down to in terms of your intuition to it. It's not
evolution wouldn't take that away. Yeah,
exactly.
Vestigial was what I was looking for earlier, but yeah, no, it did. They say we don't use it no more. So
vestibular.
Vestibular, thank you. Tongue-tied. I have that sometimes. That's why it's so nice to live with a globebuster that knows all the right words all of the time.
That's the point in it, Bob, isn't it? Your ears haven't evolved past the point of knowing up, down, left, right. Yeah. If you had this internal magnetic vestibular system, you wouldn't dispose of it because you had a piece of metal you could balance on a pin to replace it. There's no point where you would evolve that knowledge of what north is, that intuition, unless it's beaten out of you, frankly, unless it's taken away from you. And
they do take it away from us, though. I mean, they take looking up and knowing the seasons in the sky. They take away our markers there, and they've demonized it and then turned it into a swastika when it's nothing more than the Big Dipper at solstice and equinox and marking of the skies. They take all the different things that you might want to look into and might hold some of the answers, and they twist it and they make it dirty and they make it sordid. They make Aryan as white supremacist and dirty and nasty, when in fact people should be looking into Aryan, and it's not at all what they tell you. What a surprise. Nothing ever is what they tell you. But
oops,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that that's something that is an ongoing agenda, trying to disconnect us from our own senses and our own vestibular senses. And we hear it a lot from the ball earthers who will say, well, yeah, there are certain forces that are going on, in our orbital patterns around the sun and around the Milky Way. Yada, yada, yada. They say, however, your vestibular system is not sensitive enough to be able to track these changes. And it's like, I heavily dispute that, especially the one where you would be disputing the idea of, going over the curve in an airplane, right? You're going down, and that curve is increasing kind of exponentially, which means you'd be kind of going faster and faster and faster in this acceleration. And I think you absolutely would be able to detect that with your own vestibular senses. But all that aside, right, even all that aside, fortunately today, we have technology that can measure very minute accelerations, right? So when we are going around apogee or perigee, in certain Earth orbit positions, where they say that, oh yeah, you'd be able to feel 3 grams of acceleration or 3 grams of weight change or something like that. It's like, yeah, but then they want you to just completely dismiss it by telling you that your vestibular senses would never track that. And even if that was true, which I tend to doubt because I think we're a lot more sensitive than people believe, but even if that was true, the little accelerometers in our phones are way more than capable of detecting those types of changes. And you know what? They get nothing, absolutely nothing. So that's just another one of those things, it's another red herring that they try and lead you away with, to completely dismiss the idea. Since you can't trust your senses, then let's not even mention anything about what we should be able to pick up with the technology in our phones, right?
Their constant debunk of, oh, well, you're in the field of the motion and it's only 1,000 miles an hour. It's not that fast. And the sun and da-da-da. Okay, then the 3 million mile difference between summer and winter in North America, that curving around the sun is going to cause some kind of deceleration, acceleration. I'm sorry, I know how the fucking string on the end of a rock on the end of the string works when you're running.
And everybody
It's
take a
not gonna
rock, put
work.
it on a string, and spin it around. It doesn't. You're right. That's how it works. And again, people need to use common sense and say, "How does it work?" Oh, not like that. Bob can do all the math and do all the things on it. I do know that at Flattoberfest, for those that saw me there,
the yard.
yeah, I rode a unicycle at Flattoberfest. A lot of people at Flattober, that's what they should have gotten the stream on is yes, I was riding a unicycle, making my way through people in the crowd in wildness with that one eye, like going crazy in that. So it was a good time. I am not that coordinated to be like on something with the rim velocity that you would need and going around and spinning and doing that, and me on a unicycle going and maneuvering through the crowds with all the excitement going. I'm telling you, that right there is enough. We cannot be spinning. I would have fallen off the damn thing.
Right. You know what's funny is they will use that example. Like I've seen Nathan bring it up. I think Simon Dan sent this video, and I've had this video sent to me before, where it shows a guy that is on a trailer that's being pulled by a tractor, and the guy's on a trampoline, right? And he's jumping up and down and bouncing up and down. And they're saying, see, look at that conservation of momentum, right? Look at that. He's tracking right along with it. And that's why, things work and stay within the reference frame. But the problem is, it's like the ballers don't seem to know the difference between a linear motion and a curved linear motion. Because, my answer to demonstrations like that is like, oh yeah, well, let's take that same tractor and start driving around in circles and have the guy jump on the trampoline and watch how fast the guy's out on his ass on the ground, right? So,
ask them about centripetal versus centrifugal. Their brain will melt. They don't know. They don't have a clue. They're like, oh.
I know. That's a whole nother discussion. We talked about that last Sunday on Globebusters, but yeah, I mean, and they'll try and call, and this is one thing I don't understand, and I'm not going to say definitively one way or the other, but to me, it just seems like they're trying to call centrifugal the fictitious force and centripetal the real one. And it seems to me that that's just kind of bass-ackwards, right? It seems
so
like
it's
centrifugal
not a force, but you can think of it as one.
Oh yeah, well there you go. I don't know. I just, they're the ballers and their logic and the directions they try and mislead people just utterly astounds me. It really does, at the desperation that they go to mislead and just try and confuse people so that ultimately they give up and say, okay, I don't even want to look into this anymore. It's too confusing. When really it's quite simple. It's quite straightforward. And, you got to hand it to them. They're masters at what they do, obfuscation and deception.
They certainly are. They certainly are with their wall full of phones in China. Never mind. We won't go there.
Yep. Crazy stuff.
It just really frustrates me when I turn on my YouTube and I see Iron Realm Media viewers would also watch this, and there's our buddy Dan. I'm like, are you serious? Really?
Dan, which Dan?
You leave Dan alone.
Oh, Simon Dan.
Of course.
Simon Dan. Okay, yeah.
Dan is the man that ruined reference frames.
That's okay. Well, for Globebusters, it's Professor Dave. Everything is 4 million views.
That's who follows y'all, right?
Yeah, they always put a Professor Dave behind Globebusters.
It used to be who was it? What's his name? Vsauce. That used to be who we always had after us.
Yeah. Well, at least Vsauce is personable. Professor Dave
entertaining at times. Right.
Yeah, he's just an ass. Straight up. So what do you do? And I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with Simon Dan. I don't see any particular charm. At least with people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox. I mean, these guys are really personable, especially Brian Cox with his innocent little schoolboy, the way he comes across and stuff. I mean, you can see how he has definite mass appeal, right, to a lot of people. But these guys that they promote, they're just vitriolic. And it amazes me that people relate to that, but it only goes to show the amount of discordance that's going on in the world, because people seem to only relate to, discordant, hateful, low energy, low vibration, And to me, that's kind of scary, you know, that's what people are resonating with, is those type of low energies. So as
but are
metaphysical
they
as that
as
sounds.
much doing that, or is that what they want us to think? You know what I'm saying? I laughingly said the wall full of phones, but I mean, nobody that lame in presentation, which I'm not saying our show is a wizard by any means, but dude, he is the most boring guy to watch. And yet we see these millions of views. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's clear that the overall vibrational energy, I think, of the world has gone down, because there's so much discordance. Everybody is at odds with, I mean, there's division everywhere. Everybody's fighting over everything. Nobody agrees on anything, not even in the sciences, especially not in the sciences, right? I mean, look at how much, you know, discussion, and it goes beyond discussion. It goes into outright, you know, battle stations type of stuff. Oh, this guy believes in the ether, battle stations. We got to tear him down and, you know, ruin everything and fire everything. And it's just crazy, you know, but that's what people are responding to right now. And that's really unfortunate.
Turn off the TV. Damn it. If they would just do that. It's so, we were talking about in chat earlier here on the show. I mean, the vibration, the frequency, the changes it makes in people. It's such a force that I see in so many friends' houses and in-laws' houses. It's like, it's just the crap they repeat is verbatim the crap they're seeing. There's no way you can't put two and two together unless you're wrapped up and so mired in it that you can't get loose from it. And it's just sad, like you say, sad to see. And then it's a big, endless, repeating, self-perpetuating cycle.
Yep.
Oh, it's so terrible. Well, then turn off the news. I mean, if it's that terrible, turn that shit off and don't watch it. You know, I don't get it. Just to sit and watch it endlessly.
Now, Dr. John D, I know that I decided I liked, because when chatting with him through this last couple of days, he got his pants all wet. He did one of those stepping too deep in without, he had hip waders on and went a little bit too deep without the full waders. So he's working with the wet ass. Want to know, is your ass dry off yet, Dr. John? Because much appreciation to anybody that steps in the water too deep. Done it myself.
Yeah, it's quite funny, you know, like going out to do the Black Swan, the observations. So I'm wearing my like welly boots, but it's really weird. I put my welly boots on at home, knowing that I'm going to be wading out like much higher than my welly boots, but I still put them on in this weird human way of thinking. I'm not quite sure what I'm thinking, but it's like, like they keep me dry, they keep my feet dry, but I'm like, yeah, but you know you're going to walk out further than that. But I don't know, it's just that human thing.
But you weren't so sweet that you melted, so you lived through it, lived to tell. We live to tell through so many things that we're scared of now. I know we were discussing you feel old. I said, haha, you don't get to, because I'm a lot older than that. But there are a lot of us older people in the chat that have lived through. Do you know that I lived through? I had measles, and I had mumps, and I had chicken pox.
Measles and chicken pie.
We could just keep on going down the live to tell people. In fact, measles was considered kind of a free day off because you never even felt that sick, but you did get to go to school for a few days, so it was like fun. But you weren't really sick.
Hell, we were
you
the
could
carrier
play.
Monkeys. My cousins came to our house to get it from us so they could get it over with. Hell yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important.
Visit each other just to pass it on, you know, just to get get herd immunity. Yeah.
We had chicken pox parties for sure. Yes, the real immunity. The kind that actually lasts your lifetime. I like with what they're saying, and it works because now with the vaccines, they don't know exactly how long they last, and if you have to keep on taking boosters or your whole life and different things like that. But I'm doing that in there for like us old people out there. It's kind of important for us to on the vaccines. I mean, especially the measles one cracks me up the biggest, because measles was really seriously, it was a couple of days off school that you felt great. And I mean, I don't know all the people that are dying from measles, and there might be, again, your 1 in a million case, but it was not, when we grew up, it was not a big deal. It was just one of the childhood diseases or childhood things that you clicked off your little mark that you had. So I don't know, that's obviously changed a lot over the years. But now I think, I mean, I don't know. I know that when my sister was doing it, the kids now are getting like in doses when you start doing the multi-dose vaccines, and that they're getting over 100 doses of stuff in quick order in a few years to, again, you can look at the good or the bad on things, but I am just reminding it that there's like this whole generation that we're here, we did just fine.
Yeah, it's a bit different here in the UK. We don't have such a harsh like vaccine like program.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it is. Boy, I'll tell you that.
I think even now is a little bit something you live through. Was the MMR vaccine, which is propagated, but that measles threat is not there. And most of them you listed, I think, for us that are similar age to you, Cammy, myself included, they're not things that we vaccinated, we received. The things we lived through as kids. We got measles, and we might have managed to blag a day off school because of it, and then we moved on.
That's exactly how, and the MMR, I had all three of those again, and I think all in all, with all three of them, I may have had like 5 days off of school, or maybe not, because maybe one of them hit in the summer months. It's hard to tell, but it wasn't any, it's not what they're selling us.
One thing I remember, very, very strongly was, I went in the Air Force. I actually joined at 17. My parents had to sign for me to get in because I actually enlisted at 17 years old. And as soon as you go into basic training, they start immunizing you for everything. They give you vaccines for everything. You go through all these lines for literally for a couple of days. And I remember everybody being so sick and so sore after all those vaccinations. It's just bizarre because you don't think about, what they're actually doing to you. You think, oh, well, yeah, they're just giving us vaccines because we have to go overseas, and you don't want to get them sick, right? But yeah, we were truly sick and sore and in so much pain from some of those shots. It was just horrible, and the people in the military really get all the shots.
Yeah, and they get those nice air guns too, where it doesn't like inject into your skin. The air blows it through your skin into your body.
Yeah, exactly. They don't use a needle; it just hyper accelerates it into your skin. And yeah, they would actually, if you pulled away a little bit, it would literally rip your skin open.
Yep,
I remember that.
Leave bad scars. I saw several people getting scars on their arms from that.
Yep.
So, Dr. John, because we have you as in the audience today, and you have doctor in your name, and I know it has nothing to do with what you do, but maybe you talk to other friends that are that. When I looked into autism and all the different studies and vaccines and started looking into them heavily, I'll give you a history that when they were doing the Gardasil vaccine, I noticed I went into a result, and because they said that like over 25% of like American girls between 14 and 17 had sexually transmitted diseases, and I looked at the kids and found that really, really hard to believe. So I went into the actual study results. That back then you could go into the studies and click into the results, and on the study results on it, I noticed that they were compounding the results, meaning that if you tested, and they were, first of all, they were doing the test for the girls out of a Planned Parenthood clinic in a very bad district of Washington, D.C. So they took a high prostitution region and a Planned Parenthood to conduct the tests out of, which I didn't think represented America so well. But even then, what I noticed before doing the Gardasil is like if you tested 4 girls and one girl had 3 of the diseases of the 4 that they tested for, and the other girls had nothing, the results were showing that 75% of the girls had sexually transmitted diseases, the way that they did the results on it. So when you actually went into the studies and did it. So I started going into all kinds of different studies. And when I went into the autism studies, I noticed that sometimes they took what was extraneous information. One of the things that they did have on there on multiple studies is they had the blood type of the mother of autistic children. Now they found no anomalies when looking at the blood types or anything there, but when they got to the mothers, they had a number in there, and the lowest number I've seen was like a 59%, but almost all of the numbers had over 60% of mothers of autistic children are Rh negative. So I actually even contacted some of these studies on it and said, why isn't anybody looking into this? This is like huge. This is a very, very big statistical anomaly, not just a small one, but a very large one. And the answers I got is like that block of information was no different than what your phone number was, or what, you know. In other words, they gathered the information, but it was not part of the study they were doing. So they weren't looking into it, and yet they were compiling a thing on that. So with your doctors, friends, and that, I think it would be interesting to look at like vaccines and autism a little bit differently and check out, because if over 60% of the autistic children have Rh negative mothers, that is huge. I mean, that's a huge anomaly. As anybody working in science, you would have to say, with like 12 to on the upside 15 or 16% of the population being Rh negative, having a number like that is more than a little bit alarming.
Yeah, agreed. That's definitely something that needs to be looked into, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I wish I had the ability to look into it. Where I've looked into it, you know, I've looked at the studies. There's nowhere I have to go with it, but maybe you do have a place, because to me it pointed. I mean, I thought it through, and where I got is it took you in two directions. Number one, they're aware of it and they don't want to do anything because you couldn't get to herd immunity. You wouldn't be able to test for the recessive gene or the different possibilities of having, again, hitting it if it's an autoimmune hitting these kids. So if you admitted to what it was, you could have to take down the vaccine program, because to audit out who would be affected, you couldn't keep herd immunity. It would be one thought. Or B, that they're just targeting the children of Rh negatives that are like not part of the elite, or that is another thought. But again, there are a lot of different possibilities, but I do think that numbers like that need to be looked at.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, like 60%. Yeah.
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 60%, like, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. Should that definitely be looked at? Yeah.
You would think it would be like the biggest red flag out there, because that's not just a little bit of an anomaly. Again, you're talking 15% of your population is, and 60% of your mothers are. Something is way, way, way out of whack.
Yeah,
just my thoughts.
60%, you'd be able to get research funding, you know, for that, wouldn't you?
You would think it would be, and you would think that, again, I'm just somebody, a busybody looking at it. You would think that, I mean, it pisses me off in a way. You would think that within people looking at these reports, that somebody with their scientific and genetic training would like say, hey, red flag here, hello.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like, there's a definite research grant, like, isn't there, for a number like that? That's right. You know, statistically important, isn't it?
It is. It's very, very statistically
the number
significant.
Itself
There's
statistically important. Whether people want that thing that looks into is another thing, but that number is statistically important, isn't it?
I did have somebody write back, and this is years ago, and I don't have this stuff, but I did say that I had somebody write back that it was statistically insignificant, and it was like, what the fuck? No, it's not. Excuse me. It's like, really, okay, and I'm the blonde.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, like you say, it's like, you know, it is 60%. So yes, it should be looked into, shouldn't it? I mean, you know, like, it may lead nowhere, but it, yeah, you know, but it should be looked into.
Should be well steered clear of. That Gardasil, or the HPV vaccine, which is again, it's not even causation. human papillomavirus
Yeah, that
was shown to have a causational link to cervical cancer. And lots of people with cervical cancer were shown to also have HPV. Causational. Hence the instigation of that bullshit vaccine, which even the original propagator said, I made that shit up.
they did. Remember,
What's
that's the
worse
vaccine.
in the UK is a choice that my boys had to make as they tried to bring vaccination over here. Was, would my boys like to have the HPV Gardasil vaccination to prevent them? I don't know. Prevent them getting cervical cancer. It's a very interesting.
That's just ridiculous.
I would think it would be quite effective in that case. I mean,
I reckon they'd have 100% of boys given the vaccine did not get cervical cancer.
You're right.
I mean,
You're
if
right.
you're going to go statistics, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nor did they have any other vaginal disorders. So that's got to be some good stuff, man. Help.
Right. On that one, I've got to go play football in the morning. Well, run the line.
Yeah.
I say play football. Try and keep up with young boys.
Don't say that.
They're getting faster. It started when they were like 5 and 6. It was fine then, John. But yeah, everyone, love you all. It's been real fun this evening. And I'll
love you, Ed.
Love you, Ed. Have a great weekend.
Take
Tell
care.
the family
Bye,
say hi.
Adam.
Love you, bro.
Bye-bye.
See you, Adam. Have a good one, sir.
everyone.
All
Okay,
right.
thanks for putting up with me. See you all soon.
Next
You
time,
heading
don't
out?
talk so much, Martin.
Well,
you
man,
just
next time you shut up.
babbling,
I know.
babbling.
Damn, Martin, we just couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Yeah.
I'm
He
thinking,
told us he was buzzing when he got here.
contemplating, I'm thinking deep. Don't worry.
That's
I'm
good.
ready.
Bring it to
I'm
us. Bring us to us next week. We'll be there.
I'll be back.
Hell, tomorrow's Saturday.
Back
Right.
tomorrow.
Saturday is on. That's it. There. We'll see you then, brother.
All right, man.
All right.
Peace and love,
Have a
guys.
great weekend, Martin. Love you.
Love you, man.
All right, thanks, guys. Love you all.
Sweet dreams,
Love you,
sweetie.
Martin.
I'm Martin.
Take care, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I heard you. So yeah, it's probably getting that time of the evening for me as well.
I
We've
was
had,
saying, and there were 6. Now we're down.
yeah, now we're down.
Thank you
But-
so much as well, Bob, for popping in.
About that time. Yeah, no problem. It's great
Always
to be here and great panel. And I had fun doing these things, so it's great. And thanks for inviting me. Well, I don't think anybody really invited me. I just kind of crashed it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Cammy counts. She's Iron Realm. She counts.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, then I'm going to bow out and let you guys, wrap up your show. And
Yep.
I will talk to you guys next
You guys
time.
tell everybody where to find you.
Oh.
Big call, Walter.
Let's see. I think you can find me on Sundays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on the Globebusters channel, and other
guys can
various
check it out.
places.
No, seriously, man. Thank you. Truly.
All right, guys. Well, have a good one. We'll see you later. And John, looking forward to seeing the rest of your presentation. I assume you're still working on, and you're probably going to have Karen B narrate it for you.
Oh God, yeah, I'm a bit scared. It's so dry and so boring. I'm a bit worried to ask at Karen B because she's done so many really boring ones for me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't ask her to do this one. Yeah, but I will. Yeah, but I think I will have to pay her this time. It's oh my God, it's awful. It's awful.
Well,
I've been, yeah.
she's a sport.
Yeah.
She's a sport, Dr. John. I have been over at her house many times and playing in the background while she is narrating those, by the way. You just don't know. We do giggles and things in the background. We take the dryness out. We just
Oh,
don't.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so dry. But the problem is, like this one, which I'm doing on light, is just going round in circles and assumptions. It like literally leads nowhere. Oh my goodness me. It's just painful, really painful. But yeah.
Well, one thing that I think is going to be interesting is how, after some of the conclusions that you come up with in your light thing, how you're going to reconcile this with John, Quantum Eraser. That's going to be the interesting part.
Well, what I'm trying to do is tell people where we are now and how we got there, so they can see the journey, see all of the assumptions, all of like the fallacies, just everything. It's like, well, where are we now and how did we get here? And then like, what's the next step? Where do we go from here? Like as a group of people. But if we can get a lot of people, just knowing where we are and how we got here and what we must stop doing, we must stop making like these assumptions and like going around in circles and like circular reasoning. Now we've got to stop this and yeah.
Well, I think if we weren't intentionally being led around in those circles, that we might be a little more successful in preventing it. But in my view of things, anyway, this is an agenda of the elite, and it's very purposeful to keep us mixed up and scrambled and going around in circles. So
it's working just like they want it to.
And it works. Yes, it works quite well.
Too damn well.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm out of here. See you later.
All right, thanks, Bob. Have a great rest of your
And
weekend.
thank you so much, John. We don't want to
Bob.
keep you, man. I don't know what.
Okay.
I know it's late there.
It's gonna be as late for you as it is for Adam. So
once I've done this presentation, once I've done this presentation on light, then we can talk again, and we can just go around in circles for a couple of hours and laugh at the insanity, because there's just some utter insanity and lies. And oh my God, it's like, I'm just shocked. I'm speechless. I'm speechless about the just stories have been made up. Like, oh, like this guy found out this, and then and you research back, you found out what he did do, and he didn't do that. He did nothing like that. But oh my God, it's just stories, complete utter stories. It is just shocking. It is just shocking. I'm shocked. Like I keep Skyping people, sending them like pictures saying, please can you explain this to me? Please can you just talk me through this? And they're like, no, we can't. This makes no sense. I'm like, yeah, it's, same with me. I can't make any sense of this. I'm just banging my head going around in this wide circle. But but like I said, I want people to see where we've come from, in terms of light, where we've come from, where we are now, and kind of where we should kind of start from. So if we start again, where do we start from, and how? So, and I think that will be like useful, because because to me the black swans, the black swan, it's done. To me the black swan's done. It's we can get more black swans, but you really just need one black swan, which is why it's called the black swan. So I think the next step is to show people, about light, where all the nonsense has been, and okay, let's start again, and okay, and let's see where this leads us. Perhaps it will lead us to this strange like ether type thing. Who knows? But let's just see where we are right now, and then go forward.
I think
certainly when you have dug as deep as you need and get it ready to go, let us know, man. We'll definitely.
And by the way, John, we have Karen B in the chat saying that she enjoys doing and loves doing your videos. It's not a problem. I've watched her do it. She does enjoy it. She's spirit. We have fun.
She's going
Karen
to
B rocks.
Saying that. She's going to so regret saying that. It's going to be a bit, good, which is really good, because while I've been doing this presentation, I've been leaving bits out thinking, I can't hurt her that much. But now she said that, we can put those bits back in, those really boring bits. So that's good. That's good.
And if we don't like them, we'll just pull a Mark Sargent and leave them out of the video. So
leave those bits out. jumps by 50 years, like 50-year gap. Oh wow.
We need to. What's going on in the chat is we need to either give Beth Martins
I'm
a wrench.
working on it.
You're working on, or we need to link it.
No, I got
We
her.
have
She's good.
Bitches Brew coming up this Sunday on Beth Martin's channel. Thank you everybody for joining Bitches Brew on Iron Realm Media, and it is a traveling show. So this one is coming up Sunday. Really excited, Beth Martin. We are doing the warrior bitch. I'm not doing it right, but we are the tough get going.
You should be good if you refresh, Beth.
Do it, Beth, on the thumbnails. All right. But please, everybody, Sunday night, if you're not doing anything, come join the ladies. We'll be talking about everything, a little bit of everything.
Awesome.
We'd love to have you.
You guys had a great show over here too the other week. So
We had a fun show over there. I
it was
really,
great.
really
It was
enjoyed
great. Thank you, Bob. You put the links too. I'll see that now. I'm doing too many things. Multitasking, you're not supposed to. It breaks your brain. It's not just something you're not able to do. You shouldn't. It really messes up your memory.
Not only can you not do it, but when you do, it's bad for you.
Don't do it.
Beth is telling me that Warrior Bitches works for the title. We are warriors. We are bitches. We are.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, let's do this. Show the guys how it's done. We enjoy that. We enjoy that a lot. Have a lot of fun doing it. So Beth Martin's channel this Sunday. Link in the chat. Dr. John D, have you had fun coming on with us tonight?
Yeah, it's been really good, and you know, like I say, hopefully in a few weeks, hopefully it won't take too much longer. My God, it's been about 6 months already, but yeah, we shall come back on and Alec talk some more about light. So yeah,
we should. I'd love to have you on and like just play with the different things like we were doing on the screen, or do what we were doing for even the kids and the adults and everybody at the exhibits and that.
We didn't even play with our annotation. We could play around and I'll get on the
we could do all kinds of things. I would love to again have your thoughts, and again because you're going to have the intellectual behind the scenes what's going on for some of the things that we're going to show you that just happen in reality. So it's what we call fun.
Yeah, look forward to it. Right, okay, yeah, I better shoot because because it's nearly 1 o'clock here. Okay, hope to see you in a few weeks.
Sounds
Thanks
perfect.
a lot for having me.
Thank you, Doc. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Sweetest dreams.
Absolutely.
The sweetest.
What a cool guy.
That was awesome.
So what do you
and
say
much needed.
Try a little science around here.
Do what? So
what do you say we try a little science around here?
I'm with it.
Let's do it.
So I just posted a little tiny URL. If you guys want to hop on this Restream live studio. So it's not joining the Zoom call. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. If the people on Zoom are going to be able to hear the people on Restream and vice versa. So yeah, we're just going to do a little science experiment here. See what the hell happens. Make some observations is what we're going to do.
Tiny Earl. Did you see anybody else watch Poppycock and what they were doing, Baldini and Rose? They're actually going through and looking at pictures of guys named Tiny Earl and seeing which best would describe like Tiny Earl.
That's too good. Too good.
They are too good. Poppycock Report, one of my very favorites.
Account. That's what I've done. Oh, I'm sorry.
So there it is. Yeah. There's the link in chat. If anybody wants to help us out and just click it, see where it takes you, see what happens. Maybe it's going to, I don't know, create some weird.
You may go somewhere.
Space-time loop.
Podception. Podception.
Or it may work out beautifully, which is not par for the course.
Well, I heard something.
I think you're right. I think we heard a guest. This is Science Denier. Hello, Science Denier.
It's just me. I'm just here so I can deny science and check out your Restream backlink. It's Bob.
You You had the Zoom link.
Well, I know, but I just wanted to try this out because this is obviously Restream's equivalent to what we use in crap. What do we use? StreamYard. Yeah, StreamYard's deal, right? It's the same thing.
It's really nice too. It's like it's
It
giving a
does.
little
It's really
compression.
clear. Yeah.
Nice.
We might have to just abandon Zoom altogether.
It might be going. Oh, you beat me to the punch.
Is this free, Josh?
You get like 40 or 45 minutes free on Restream. No, that's Zoom. I don't know if Restream has a free option actually. No, to answer your question. It's not free.
Thanks to our kind patrons.
It wasn't terribly priced though. It was a little more than I was thinking I wanted to spend, but with the ability to stream to 30 plus platforms, as many platforms as you can sign up for. I guess there's a set amount, but you could sign up for all of them if you wanted to and stream to all 30 of them, 30 plus. But with that, and I was just real curious to try this, the live studio. But that's digging it.
That's kind of cool because I signed up for a year on StreamYard, but you can still only stream to 3 streams at once. Unless, I don't know if you have to pay more to do more, but if you can do, so I'm just curious what the price difference is, if this works as well as StreamYard, and if you can stream to like, I don't know, 10 different things, that would be cool.
I think it's comparable, if not maybe, I don't remember. I compared them.
Twitch, Face, Twit, what else?
Yeah, we are on DLive, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we could be streaming live to our own RTMP server, but we don't have one of those. So we could, like, if we had a website that was up and running and actually worked, then we could technically be streaming it to there directly from Restream.
Cool.
Now, what did SD stand for again? Because I hope we don't have a social disease.
Science denier.
Oh. Okay. No.
Standard display.
Yeah, I figured might as well, everybody calls a science denier, so I just thought I'd, take the title for the night.
Nemo in chat concurs. The sound coming through here is actually a little better than straight through the Zoom call. That's interesting.
That is interesting. So I sound better on this than I did on Zoom, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. Like I said, it gives it a little compression and punches it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Our little sweet Beth Martins has given her official opinion. She says Zoom sucks.
Well, it's been a progression.
I love that.
Working our way through all of them, but I have to say, oftentimes you're right, Beth. Oftentimes you're right.
Yep. Well, that's what it's about. Try out different things, see how they work, and if Restream turns out to work out better than StreamYard does, then maybe after our subscription is up, we'll go to Restream, depending on the price and everything.
I think the price point was comparable, if not StreamYard being a little more, and that's why I chose Restream.
Oh, maybe. There you go.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Does it have like all the little nifty features, like, with the screen sharing and also the banners and all that stuff? Can you do all that stuff too? Highlight comments?
You sure can.
Right, the annotations.
So if you guys are watching YouTube, I'm not sharing it to the Zoom call, but if you go to YouTube, you can see it's got the chat on the right side. So I can hover over any of the chats and it gives me the option to show them. So I just click on it and it drops whatever it is right there, right in the lower corner. And I can come over to captions. And then the captions, I can just load in a primary text and a secondary text and just get them all preloaded up here. Then as I want, I can just click each one and have it.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that sees it because I'm the only one on Restream, but the YouTube feed is not showing it.
No, I'm seeing it.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it on YouTube. I'm for sure seeing it.
You are?
Yeah, I just saw him drop the Beth Martins comment.
Why am I not seeing it? I see
her icon, her avatar with the comment, so that's kind of cool. It's not just the name.
That's weird.
Beth here saying that Zoom sucks.
You may have to fast forward or refresh to get to it.
Yeah, I'm going to refresh and try that. Let's see.
Paused so I don't hear too many things at once.
Okay, well, I see Beth Martin's comments. I think Zoom got assimilated when COVID hit. I see that on the YouTube feed.
That's it. Then I can come over to captions.
But if I go over to Live Studio Restream, I can see the chat. I can see the same thing. I mean, there's much more stuff on the Restream chat than there is on
in the
YouTube.
mornings, I used to pop into the backdoor side of our Restream, and I could see all the chats as well. But I realized quickly that anytime I did something major, like try to change a title, which I usually do when we come up with an idea mid-show or something, it would restart all the key, like restreamed everything. Literally everything started over. So I had to quit that. So I just let him run it in the morning, and I don't even get in it anymore. But yeah, definitely, it's got some robust features, it seems.
But it says I can get up to 10 people on the Restream Live Studio. So I could run Zoom, I could run Skype, I could run all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, same with StreamYard, 10 people there also.
But I don't have to use any of those slots for any of you guys because I'm running Zoom. But I could run Skype or whatever else it is and have 9 open slots for callers, so we could stack up callers up to 9 and then just take them as I saw fit.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad. Very cool. Definitely worth checking into.
Scott No Name wants to know, you should be calling in and asking us this. They want to know if we got the Dam and Hydro generator going yet. We have not, but Bob has talked, even as like today, even he talked about doing the research and getting it up and going. So it was like high up on the plate today. We are getting there. There's been a lot with Flattoberfest and moving in and all the different pieces, parts, and all the hoops they want you to jump through to get driver's licenses and your cars registered and everything. It's quite remarkable. Again, all the different hoops, and every time you go to hit one hoop, you find out that you need this other little piece that the office is closed on, or just fun stuff.
The ladies at home because she can't get her job done. Sorry, Josh.
That's right. Like the ladies at home and her brain ceases to function. Yeah, they're pretty nice here. I have to say that at least, the people are reasonable on it and extending the deadlines and that. But yeah, it happens. You're working from home. Your brain can't be expected to engage. I don't know what people are thinking.
So yeah,
we got new toys to play with. That's
new toys to play with. Yeah,
I wonder how we can implement that in the morning. I guess we should get off the air with all this.
Well, it's just the same way as we're doing right now, because we have to have Skype for the TFR studio. So we just run Skype like we're running Zoom right now. And I just
backdoor through it.
Put it onto OBS, put OBS's virtual camera over to Restream, and then Restream out to everybody else.
And we'll just drop URLs left and right. There'll be little Earls running around everywhere.
I know. Now I know what little Earl looks like because of Poppycock. It's awesome. Now you guys get to see Zach come into the room and see what's going on. That little commotion where you kind of lost me and Bob a little bit towards the end of the show or mid-show in there, where we got real quiet. That was because my husband was in the office and decided it would be nice if we snuggled up together on the heater. He wanted me to share the heater over there. So it was actually a cozy show. I love my office.
I saw you light the candles back there and it got nice and homey. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Throw some candles in here. I just turn on the moon. It'll be good.
Fabulous. And I have here, let's see if I can turn on the moon here. I don't know what I did with my little toys. This is one of the things that the kids loved. Was we're writing in fluorescence. It's little things, but yeah.
I need new toys. That's awesome. That's really awesome. I had a sheet of that I got my son like way back when that first was a thing you could do, and we would just spend hours in the rain.
Right.
With it. It was amazing. All right, I guess we should shut this thing off.
Yeah, I reckon
everybody
it is
ready?
about that time.
Yeah.
We've been at it a minute.
I started with curly hair and it's back to straight.
Wow, you sure did. That's nuts. You did.
I did.
Y'all were commenting on your hair and appearance earlier, and now it's all straight.
I know. I went to hell. Now I'm in a nice.
Yeah, here in the South, it goes the opposite way. I start out with a little straight, and then it all starts curling up.
Well, Scott No Name says his headset broke, so he wouldn't be able to hop on, but there'll be plenty of other chances, I think.
There will indeed.
Even a cheap little pair of headphones that they send you with your phone. There you go. Just like the ones Walt's got. See, them will work just fine. We're not
what you hear me on. It's just what I'm hearing you on.
Yeah,
Either way.
We really are friendly. Don't be scared.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to hang up on this conversation, let you close out your show, guys.
Again, twice, double think.
Yes.
That's right. No worries, guys. See you later.
Science denier, you take care now.
Bye.
All right, everybody in chat. It was great. Thank you all for the super chats. You all are super. Even unsuper chatting people are super. Man, that really didn't sound great at all. But you know what I'm trying to say. All of you rock. All the way. And it was really great. Thank you all for the shares. Hell, we got as many people sharing as watching almost. That's rare. Thank you all.
That is
Or
really
thumbing.
Yeah. Love y'all.
It's hard for us to outrun the anti-thumb machine they have running most of the time because literally I can watch my thumb when I click it disappear at times. So it's pretty fun.
And never underestimate how much YouTube reacts to your actions with this show. For those of you that don't want to do the super chats or don't want to become a patron on Patreon, the least you could do is
Thank you.
Like it, subscribe it, hit the bell notification, share it around, let people know. Just those interactions with the video on YouTube really has a lot for how it gets seen and processed and all that good stuff. It does a whole lot for the algorithms.
Of course, that being said,
yeah, but not too much.
Low key is the key. Don't forget, low key is the key.
You do it just
no talking low key on the show.
No, I'm saying us. We're trying to keep things not too big. We don't want to be like we don't want to be Globebusters big.
We're not looking for Globebuster size.
Right.
Audience.
Then we'll have like Netflix after. So I don't want that. I'm just being silly. I'm being silly. Thank you, Liz. Again, I saw her say super chatters just rock more. They do indeed. Thank you, Liz. Thank you. All right, we're gonna shut up and go home. Liz. Beth says, "Shh, go home." She didn't really. She just said, "Shh."
But we don't know if we can play music.
Oh, that's true. That was one thing, because I was going to say that when we were all praising the awesome call from Bob there at the end. We started out rocky with the new machine there, but it surely ended well. But if I have to get the guitar out, I guess that's how we'll end it.
I suspect that if Bob could have heard you guys talking, that he could hear.
It's Friday, my dudes.
All sorts of stuff coming through.
I heard that.
Yeah, dude, I think we'll be good.
My dude.
I heard that too.
So we could probably get the hell out of here.
Hey, you know what I want to hear that I haven't heard for fucking ever?
What do you want to hear that you haven't heard for fucking
Our
ever?
buddy Vagabond was in chat earlier, in fact, to even make it an official.
Yeah.
Official, just because Bag was here. Put it up. I want to hear it. John's not here to bitch, so no, I'm just kidding.
So I got audio at my fingertips.
Dude, please play Cheyenne's Gravity. It's a song I like.
I can do
quite
that.
a bit.
It had been
I'll turn off my mic, but I'll be screaming along here at the house. Michelle loves it when y'all play that song because I always sing along.
I bet she does. I bet she loves it. All right, then. We can get the hell out of here.
Thanks, you, Cammy. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Adam, who's already gone.
John boy.
Thanks, John, who was never here.
Thank you, John, who just, well, you know, he's not one of us anyway. So.
I mean, well, Dr. John D was here. Thank you, Dr. John D, for sure.
Dr. John, for sure.
Truly. It was the other one.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, everyone.
Flatterday
Good night,
tomorrow.
John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen. Damn, is that her name? I can't remember her name. Sue Ellen.
Mary Ellen was right.
Mary Ellen. Okay. Who was Sue Ellen? That was one of the other ones.
So the youngest, Elizabeth, by the way, her real name was Cammy, so maybe you should be calling me Elizabeth.
All right, then.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Walt. And Zach and Cammy and John and Adam and everybody else that we just listed, because I'm not going to do it again. No, we'll get the hell out of here.
We need to figure out how to end this thing.
Be sure you guys head over to tfrlive.com, truthfrequencyradio.com every Tuesday and Friday morning, starting at 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Central. That'll be 10 a.m. to noon Greenwich Mean Time here in the real near future. Yeah, it's Walt, Zach, and I, and hopefully soon Cammy on occasion again as well. We're hanging out over there on the Ironworks, just yucking it up, talking God knows what out. Hanging out with our Iron Scouts. I need to shut the F up and get the hell out of here. Thank you guys. Be good, be well, and we will talk to you again here in the very, very near future. Bye-bye.
We're up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery. They've got a hold of me, they won't let go of me. Let go of me. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let there be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. They can be cruel and mean and a huge pain. Our heads are in the clouds now. Don't let them make it rain. A smile can be the sign they're missing out on their rainy day. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy gravity. They say we aren't strong enough, we don't have what it takes. I say yeah, they're wrong enough, and we'll show them someday. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you while you defy gravity.